I hate these type of games. I hate these type of games. Point
This is the Imperial Schools of Honor podcast. I'm Josh Folan.
And I'm Jay Baxtron.
And we are going to be bullshitting about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. Today we are Let's Get Weird at Lucasfilm Games and Jaleco's 1990 release of Maniac Mansion on the Nintendo Entertainment System. We are employing Nintendo Power 16 as literature of antiquity for this endeavor. It was the cover feature and is loaded with help to help you get going on the point and click goodness therein. And emulation disclosure before we kick things off, I have the cart, so I was able to get OG hardware out of this bad boy for my first just for funsies run.
What?
Which ended up, I kind of blew my mind, dude.
That's insane.
It ended up being what I believe was the first time I ever beat the game, playing with my advantage. And okay. I actually caught flack when I fucking posted some of the shit. Fucking seeing the whole setup. People were giving me shit for playing a point and click with the joystick, and I want to tell you, Lord Disciples, I am a fucking soldier. That's why I was playing a point and click adventure with the advantage. Oh my God. And then I did my second run via RetroArch emulation, and I dialed down to a standard gamepad for that. I didn't keep the advantage shit going, just to minimize a monopolization of my desktop for the duration I was playing. Man. How did you play it, Jay?
I played it the way I typically play these, with the standard NES controller, but via emulation through RetroArch.
Hot. Please rate and review the podcast. Be part of the ISOH movement. Give us validation on your podcast platform of choice in the form of a rating or review. We'll read it here on the pod.
Yes, we will.
What are we jamming on now, Jay? Brotato is a fun-ass name. What the hell's that?
Dude. This game is so
looks like it should be in VR
good.
Also.
Oh man, if this game was in VR, that's a whole nother thing we're just gonna have to talk about now. That would be fun. Like, so have you even heard of this game? Do you know anything about it? Oh man. Oh my gosh. So it's on Game Pass. It's one of those things that I just kind of saw it and the name was kind of weird. So it was like, what is that? Like, I love Brotato. Is very fun.
Yeah, great marketing job. That's a very, like, what the fuck's going on there?
Is there a professor in there? Like, I want to see what else is happening. Brosif, is he involved? But yeah, no, this game is really fun, man. It's a very simple design concept in the vein of Vampire Survivors. Like, one button, all you're doing is just moving around the screen, bullet hell, things coming at you. But it's all about the weapons you choose and how you upgrade them together to kind of get powerful and try to complete an actual full run, because it's broken up into waves. You know, we're starting off, there's a smaller wave of enemies, and more enemies, and then it kind of grows from there. But as you go along, you get different pickups, different weapons. And at first I just kind of thought you were just picking up weapons, and I was thinking like Vampire Survivors, like, oh, I just have to find like cooler weapons. But really, I realized you combine them. When you get more weapons of the same type, you get to combine them, and they like get more powered. And it's so simple, but it's so satisfying in terms of that, like, the upgrade skill tree. And like last night, I meant to play it for just probably like 30 minutes. I was like, let me just check it out. Let me just play for a little bit, because I'd been playing before, but I'd been dying a lot and not really understanding the game. But I was kind of chopping it up with a coworker the other day, talking about how much fun it was, because I had kind of just been like not really investing in it, but just kind of just playing it here and there because it's so fun and like still addictive, even if you don't know what the hell you're doing. Like, it's still just like fun to play. But as I started really getting into it and understanding like how you could upgrade things, oh my gosh, dude. Like, I just wanted to play run after wave after wave, because you're unlocking all these different Brotatoes who have their own special powers and skills. And like, you have the old man Brotato, and like, I don't know, man. It's so simple. It's not even like, it's almost not even worth talking about, like, really, the skill tree, because like it would just be just super nerd-tastic. Like when you really talk about it, like, oh, I found an SMG and flamethrowers, and I was able to like boost the ranged elemental like damage, and so like every time enemies come at me, like I'm melting them, and this felt so satisfying each time it happened. But it does take up like a solid chunk of time once you actually get through a full run. Like it's like 45 minutes, man. You're like in it, but it's good. Like, and I want to keep doing it. And I found myself getting lost and like not wanting to do other things I had planned to do, and that to me is the sign of a fantastic freaking game. So if you haven't played it, go freaking play that game. You will not be disappointed. Like, you will not. No chance.
Yeah, I love the Mile High. I think I want the poster more than I want to play it.
Right? Like, yeah, it's impressive to me. Like, the closer I get to content, like in my day job and just like through talking, like, and discovering games, like, the more impressive it is to me when you can take really a simple concept and make it so much more fun than like you would think it would be, like, to the average person. So kudos to the team. Good stuff.
Word. Who makes it? Someone notable, or is it like an indie team? Do you know?
I actually forgot the name of the dev. I should actually look that up. It's good to know. Give them some love here.
So yeah, I feel like, you know, that I fucking hear so much about the Vampire Survivor shit. There's got to be just like, that's such a simple thing, you know?
Right.
And there must be so many people that are like, oh, fuck it, people are fucking biting on stuff that simple. I can do that. You know?
Yeah.
So I would think there's just a glut of, you know, knockoffs.
You would think.
Not even necessarily meaning in a bad way, just, you know, similar theme, similar concept ideas.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there are. This is Blobfish Studios. So
okay.
Shout out to Blobfish. Yeah, exactly. Indie. Small goodness, you know.
Word.
Next game that I've been playing, Streets of Rage 4. Man, gotta play some more of it. When it originally came out, me and the kids played all the way through it, beat it, you know, and it was great. Like, we literally played all the way through it in one day. You know, obviously, I think we played it on the easy mode just because, like, at the time, my son was younger, so I didn't want to make it difficult for him. But he's gotten better at games, so we played it on normal this time. And there's since then been a DLC, which, like, the Mr. X Nightmare DLC that added like several more different characters you get to play with. Even some of the enemies, the bosses that you beat, you get to play with them. And so, like, playing that again has been fun. Like, I love a great beat 'em up. Like, give me beat 'em ups all day, good ones, and I'm down. You know.
That was a good one. Yeah, I don't think I finished it, but me and my buddy Al played it when he was here, whenever that came out.
Yeah.
We did a playthrough of it.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't played the specific survival mode yet, though, like the real survival mode, but I want to do that next. And I know my son's like chomping at the bit to go, like, kick some disrespectful Dylan's butts again. So. Yeah, good stuff, man. But outside of that, just not much gaming, man. Things have been pretty busy. I haven't even had time to really dip into COD like I had been. Haven't really been getting my zombies on like I would like to typically do, but we'll see.
Okay. It's been a while since we recorded, so I have a fuck ton of stuff, actually. And I honestly feel like I haven't done a ton of gaming, but my list is very long here. First thing I have is I finished the insane Egyptian temple cleaning job, and in turn the career mode on Power Wash Simulator VR. And it was just in time, too. Like, it might even been right before, but definitely not long after. If not, they dropped some new DLC, their first paid DLC, and it is SpongeBob, which I'm not a SpongeBob guy, but
what?
I'm sure it's fun. You know, they want $8 for however many new jobs for that, so that's cool. If I decide I want to bite on it.
Hold on, are you telling me you're going to be cleaning SpongeBob's like stuff underwater? Like, is that what we're talking
Probably,
about? Like,
I don't know. I literally know. I mean, I guess I do know that SpongeBob is underwater for the most part. He has like whatever that pink thing is. I know that character like vaguely, and that's like some kind of sea creature or something. So I do, have some vague understanding that it would be underwater. Yeah. So yeah, but I don't know. I haven't bought it yet. I actually still have a few. There's that bonus pack that they dropped that was still free not too long ago, has a bunch of, like, the next thing I went to is this massive satellite dish that, like, those are still pretty big things to deal with. So yeah, I'm not quite there, but gotcha. I'm sure I'll get there. Ding! And then Puzzling Places, I finished all that Egyptian shit, the Sphinx, and there were 2 like burial tomb in the temple type deals. And nice. So good, so satisfying. The fucking 3D models of those are just so detailed. It's crazy how good of a job they do making those models. Very cool. And Asgard's Wrath 2, man. So like, I still haven't beat it. It's what? Like, yeah, it's
slacking. What happened?
I'm kind of paralyzed, dude. I don't want to finish the game without 100%ing it first because I know I can't go back. But the shit left to finish is like this needle in a haystack. It's the same problem I kind of had with the first one. I know, man. I know I should. I need to get off my fucking, my goddamn completionist high horse and just finish it and get it out of my life. But I haven't done it yet. And so, yeah, I have not been. Literally, all I got to do, I literally just got to go to the girl and be like, hey, I want to go do the battle. And then she'll take me there. I'm almost certain. It's not like I've tried it, I guess. But I'm almost sure that's all I have left. And I just can't do it.
You're extending the backlog. You can't do that. You got to eliminate the games from the backlog.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's what is the benefit to? And dude, I mean, there's no way. Like I said, there's just you can't get. I couldn't even cheat if I wanted to. There's no walkthrough for these things. There's each of the 6 worlds or whatever. There's all these. Every fucking game now has those just the really minutia things. I always think of the fucking little beetles in Legend of Zelda. Those little gold beetles. There's just a million of them. Yeah. You'll never find them all. But if you want to complete the game, you do. And that's exactly what these things are. They're these statues you got to break, and they could be fucking anywhere. And you don't even know. There's no there's just no way to know fucking where they are. And yeah, I'll never find them. And there are, believe me, I've looked 0 guides, and honestly, if there was a guide, there's so many of them, I wouldn't want to sit down with a guide because it's a fucking. I would need to find a way to pin the guide in my view. Otherwise, I'm taking my head. It's it not even wouldn't be fun in VR to cheat. So yeah, just fucked up. I gotta just bite the bullet and fucking do it. But I haven't done it yet. And I started fiddling with that. I Expect You to Die 3 a little bit. That spy theme, 50 spy theme deal, escape room type thing, and it's.
How's that?
Really good. Fantastic game. But it's not, and it makes me sick to my stomach that I'm bitching about this, but you don't, if you fail, you just go back to the beginning. And that's so frustrating. And these rooms take 20, 25 minutes. And you have one stupid thing go wrong, even if you saw it coming. And you just work, because it's timed, and there are things that are skill-based, not just...
Oh, really?
Not just checking boxes. You have to do certain things in certain periods of time, or something might blow up or whatever it is, and it can be. It's too frustrating. So yeah, I still haven't beat the first fucking level, but it is just as good as the first 2. And the next thing, dude, Amy and I we were I was doing the Puzzling Places shit all the time, so we were thinking there's got to be a co-op puzzle thing, where we can both work on a puzzle together. Yeah. So we start poking around, and I end up seeing that there's a puzzle room or whatever in Horizon Worlds, which that's the VR social universe, metaverse thing on Quest. So we're okay, let's try it. Oh, fucking insane, Jay. So.
Oh, man.
They give you a little tutorial before you can go into rooms. You go through this course, and it shows you your functionality and how you pick stuff up and interact, whatever it is. And then they just drop you in it. You just go, and then you can just go. There's a fucking million rooms with different themes and different shit going on in them, and different kind of whatever. I think I'm glad I started in the puzzle room, because I think that's kind of an older skewing thing that the kids aren't as interested in. So it wasn't terribly hectic in there, There was I don't know, maybe 10 people in there, and they were all pretty chill for the most part. So it wasn't a socially overwhelming thing. But yeah, you go into this room, dude, and there's a fucking big ass puzzle on the wall. And it was pretty kind of clever how because you're all just looking at the same puzzle. And the pieces, whatever, all around it and stuff. So, that could get messy, with different people trying to grab the same piece.
Yeah.
So, they actually had a...
It's not
they had
rooms or anything?
I don't think there are private rooms that are like. I mean, there probably are private rooms, but not that are like that have the activities in them. Okay. You know, at least again, I didn't even try to go to another room. We ended up hanging out in there for like an hour, so and I haven't really picked it back up since. But it was very interesting, and yeah, they like devised a way to. So not everyone's grabbing the same shit, and it was like productive to work together and stuff. So I thought that was kind of clever, and I imagine that's an implementation and all the. But yeah, it's like this big ass room, dude. And you can like, fucking, I don't even know, man. Like just grab shit, talk to people, fucking play the game. There's other like a movie theater thing on the one side, and this was just the one room, dude. There's a million of them. There's stand-up comedy rooms, and there's fucking every type of I'm sure there's like board games and just all sorts of shit. And I'm sure it can get fucking nuts in some of them. So, yeah. I don't know, man. It was fucking wild. Considering it was free in particular, I think I was impressed. You know what I mean? Oh, which man. I did. I very much went into it with very low expectations.
Right. When I heard you say that, I immediately thought pandemic. Like that's what I remember, like going in that Horizon Worlds, like during the pandemic and trying to be social and like hang out with my brother and trying to figure all that stuff out and just being like, I don't know that I want to hang out here.
Yeah, like, I did that. You know. Yeah, I did it. I guess, yeah, come to think of it, I did pop into, I don't know if it was this or not. There was something that was like, I know it seemed way more basic. It just dropped me into like this cityscape. And there were just like, it was bananas. There were kids everywhere screaming and shit. It was nuts. And I was like, nope. Fuck it. I was like, 27 seconds or something. I was like, fuck this. Yeah. So this was definitely not that. And I don't know if this is just a furthering of that same thing or if that was something different. I can't remember what that was called. But yeah, I was pretty fucking impressed. So that was surprising to me.
Nice.
Kind of cool. So yeah, like, I mean, again, there's no way it will be something I would want to, at least I don't think, you never know. You start getting you meet some people and like, oh, well, I'll fucking meet up with them again. And then you're fucking hooked and you're doing who knows. But I don't think it's something I would ever want to do with any regularity. But as like, if you're just kind of odd as shit to do and you want to hang out with someone like, or a group of people, I think it would be kind of, it's a cool ass idea. And the functionality was built out enough in this case that I think it would actually be cool, In the same kind of way I've talked about like Walkabout Mini Golf has tried to create that for the game. Or like using that as like a business meeting context. Like if you're doing digital meetings as opposed to just 6 dickheads on a Zoom, go play mini golf and have the same conversations, and fucking, that's a cool idea, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just wish we had 4 more friends, Jay. So that was cool. And Amy was out of town last week for work, and I actually dropped into Demio for the first time. A few times, like 3-4 nights in a row I did it.
Dude, I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, man, I haven't played Demio in a while.
It's so good, dude. It's like, it's so good.
Did they add any new stuff since last time?
No, that's the shitty thing. And like they got that, I don't know if I mentioned on here yet, but they got I'm sure I put it in the chat. They got the contract to make the Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game. So they're done. They're never going to support this again. They're still supporting it. I mean, it's,
really?
Yeah, they still post about it and shit, but they're not going to fucking release new shit for it. They're just I don't know. Hopefully I'm fucking pessimistically wrong.
I'm like, maybe there'll be a Dungeons and Dragons Demio thing. It's like,
well, yeah, I mean, I envision that there'll be a lot of overlap in the like UI and functionality. I'm sure that's why they got the contract. That the construct is there. You just got to brand the stuff, to some degree. Hopefully, it'll be cooler, and they'll think of some cool new shit too. But maybe the influx of cash from that will allow them to kind of still like kind of create a Demio division. Maybe, who knows? But my guess would be it would be very backburnered with that having fell onto their plate, because that's such a huge thing. And I'm very much looking forward to it, but it's a bummer that Demio still hasn't gotten anything new content-wise. But it's still, it is still great. And because, it'd be great to have new boards too, but the cool thing about that game is when you get into a group of people, that is it's just a good group of people. And the strategy is good, and the vibe is right, and the conversation is good. And when that happens, when that comes together, it's just such a fucking enjoyable experience, and I had that happen a couple of nights. So we should play again because it was fucking dumbass.
Let's do it, man. I haven't even put on the headset in like I gotta probably go dust it off, man.
Wait until I convince you to fucking buy this.
Oh my gosh, dude!
You gotta fucking. Oh my god. Before we get there, though, the one little news drop. Upload VR posted a story. I don't know, a couple weeks ago now. I guess it's been so long, but the new Arkham City, the new Batman Arkham City game, is getting Quest exclusive.
Wait,
Quest
what?
Exclusive release. The Arkham City Batman games. The
Yeah.
fucking ones that were on, the huge games.
Yeah,
on
Xboxes. Yeah, man. They were like some of the first games I bought. Like
that. I mean, I had I think 2 of them on my PS3, and yeah, they're fantastic fucking games. The idea that it's gonna be in VR is fucking awesome. Yeah, really wild.
The fact. Whoa, dude! Like,
yeah,
I had
that's exactly it. It's whoa.
Like,
I
had so much fun playing freaking Iron Man in VR, flying around like Iron Man and doing like any hero stuff I had. Like,
that's the company that got it. That's the company that got it.
Oh my gosh,
the Iron Man, which I still haven't played that, but I hear it's cool. Yeah,
they do it. Cool. Oh, dude, yeah. I'm buying. Okay, all right,
yeah,
all right. I'm in.
It'll probably be 3 only. You have to get a new headset. I'm almost certain it won't rock on the 2. Would be my guess.
That would make sense too. Oh,
yeah,
man.
At least I would hope, and that's kind of what I've been saying. The bitches like they've started doing that. Like, embrace the new hardware and push it to its limit. Don't Yeah. I obviously, as a 3 owner, am biased in that regard. But
of course,
I bought this thing. I fucking push it to its limit. Show me what it can do. So yeah, that's fucking wild. I saw that and I was like, even me, like I'm like obviously Captain fucking Pro fucking Meta Quest, and I was just like, whoa, that is a big IP to be getting exclusive fucking. It's just like Asgard's Wrath. It's like it's meta. It's the market is not dictating that. That's Meta just dropping an insane amount of money is what that is, to keep it, to get it exclusively, So it's not like this tectonic shift in the VR user base or market share or anything. I don't think, anyways. I'm sure it is clearly growing, but I don't think it's anywhere near the level to warrant that game being exclusive on the Quest. But whatever the hell, I obviously awesome. It'll be fucking incredible, if they put even half of the effort they put into Asgard's Wrath, it'll be fucking incredible. So, looking forward to that for sure. Yeah. And then yes, on Thursday, Blacktop Hoops VR dropped, dude. Fucking oh my god, man! It's been on App Lab for like 2 years. I didn't know about it. I actually texted Bung, my buddy Will, about it. He said, "Oh yeah, I got that a while back." He's like, "I played it for like 5 seconds. I couldn't fucking shoot," and I was like, "Fuck this!" I was like,
"That's crazy." That's what I would expect.
That's what I kind of thought too. So I watched the videos and I was like looking, and dude, it's got 17,000 reviews and is a 4.9. So even with whatever
17,000 at 4.9.
I don't know of any game that has anywhere near that many reviews. I guess it's already. It just released on Thursday, and before it released, it was already one of the top 10 reviewed titles on the store. So
is this not bot action? Are we concerned it's fraud?
Yeah, I guess maybe. Who knows? But I would say no, because I've tried it now, and holy shit. So yeah, it's like, yeah, whatever the idea that it's a 4.9 is wild in pre-release because. And like I said, Will said that about it, that he, couldn't get into it. And so I'm sure it was buggy and clunky at some point in that timeline, So the idea that it's so much fun that people are willing to look past that and still enjoy it and rate it well, I think is a testament to what it is. And I'm not surprised because, yeah, man, it's so fucking fun. I'm going to break shit in my living room. I already smashed my fucking hand once.
See, oh no, that's what I can't. Oh.
Yeah, you gotta learn to, unless you have to see, that's the thing. It's like the first time I played a game where I'm like, I gotta figure out a way to make more space for myself.
Oh no.
Because like, I've like, you can train yourself once you kind of, VR is so interesting because you like, there's so many different ways to embrace it and like, or rather engage it, I should say. The UI and just the functionality of it all is just so free reign that I've said this before. I think I was talking about that Clockwinder game where I like shooting the apples and stuff. Like you got to like learn to both play the game in the game and play the game in your space. And like, it's such an interesting, I don't know, extra problem set for gaming, but yeah, I've had to teach myself to keep my feet rooted and use the stick for my turns as opposed, and you're so inclined at first. That's why I smashed my hand. You're so inclined at first to physically, you are, it's basketball. So obviously you're just autopiloting, you can't do that if you don't have the space because you will smash some shit. Yeah, it's intense, dude. Like they did such a good job. The shooting obviously is a big concern. That's great though. It's great. You actually have to learn. It's so great that it's like, it is hard at first and you got to learn it's very like, I don't know, sensitive to the power you would be using. So you like the first thing I was doing actually on training was the 3-ball shit. The like a 3-point contest thing that you can train on. And like, I'm like winging the ball fucking way over the hoop and shit. And like, I was like, the idea that you can even do that, I think is cool, that it is that like not railroaded, you know what I mean? That you gotta like learn to get the feel of it, and like, so that the shooting is great. And the dribbling, I think, is maybe the biggest accomplishment and one of your probably bigger hurdles to making a VR game. And like, it's good, dude. It has haptic feedback. So when the ball's hitting your palm, you feel that. And that allows you to fucking, dribble, man. And like, it's fucking nuts, man. And like, even, that I have the gripe because you don't have legs in VR, at least yet, on the Quest anyways. So, the crossing over is a little oversimplified than maybe I would like, because the variance of being like the crossover from just like in front of you from one hand to hand versus a crossover through your legs are two very different feeling things. And I think two very different setups for basketball strategy, So like, it's a little oversimplified, but even with that being the case, it's still great because you can very much, fucking back a motherfucker up and like cross them over and send their ass fucking crumpling to the fucking court. It's fucking great, dude. And then just fucking run to the, and then just blow right by him and just yoke fucking. Nice. It's so fucking good, dude. It is so good. And like the steals and the blocking feels fucking great, And like, I'm still playing on the cake level. So that's probably, I'm sure that gets way harder.
Yeah.
But like, it feels so good, dude. Like, you're like, the guy's fucking backing, like the guy I just played, like he did a lot of fucking backing down shit. And like, so he's like backing down and putting his shoulder into you and you kind of, I don't know how I feel that, but I do feel it. And like, and then like, you're trying to get the reach in around him. And when you knock that ball out and it fucking, you run by the other side of him and fucking grab it, dude, it feels so, it is such a good encapsulation of basketball in a VR context, dude. It's so well done. So fucking good. And it's got a cool story mode. Yeah. All VR games, I don't know why. I mean, it's not. You have the space. I don't know why they're all like this, but they all kind of. I always feel like the story mode's like a little shorter than it should be. It seems like there's, at least by what I'm guessing, there's only like 3 stops with 3 ballers at each one. Like you like start wherever the hell you're home, whatever, Northern Oakland, I think it is, and then you go down to LA and play a tournament, and then I think you go to New York and play a tournament in Harlem. At least I think. So that could be longer, but it is cool and it's well done. The voice act, they have like a bunch of really great voice actors to voice the characters and stuff. So the story feels cool and good. And you got this bedroom you go back to between, and you got like there's a little hoop on the back of your door in your bedroom that you can fucking, a little mini one you can shoot, and your laptop, you can do the training things from your laptop, and like the music is fucking fantastic. It's all this 90s. It's not actual licensed music. It's original music that's 90s hip hop inspired, and it's great. They did a great job of capturing that vibe. And yeah, dude, just fucking really good.
Is this a Quest 3 only game?
No. I mean, well, Blacktop Hoops, I guess, is a big game on flat screen stuff. So this is like a known this company is a thing already. So this game was actually I think it was flat screen anyways, because I don't know that for sure. But I think this is the first VR iteration of it.
Okay.
I'm not sure about all that. I hadn't heard of it. So like I said, I was highly skeptical looking at the videos when I initially saw it was dropping. Actually, heard the Let's Talk Oculus pod mentioned it, and I was like, oh, basketball. Maybe they finally figured it out. And like they're like, so I started watching the videos, and like every one of the reviewers is like, oh my god, like they fucking figured basketball out. Like, oh my god, so good. And yeah, dude. And so I haven't even played. Like, I've played all one-player stuff, just training and the story mode, because I don't want to play any multi until I'm actually good. That sucks.
Of course,
getting your ass kicked in. So, it's got like, it's got like a casual mode where you can just go shoot around with people. It's got head-to-head, one-on-one, and I guess there's 2-on-2 and 3-on-3. I don't even know how to pass the ball yet, because they don't teach you that. So, I don't even know how that works, but the idea that you can do it is fucking incredible. So there's 3-on-3 you can play. That's fucking like if it
like
works.
Co-op 3-on-3.
Yeah,
like
yes,
you
co-op. Yes, co-op multiplayer. So yeah, the whole thing, like it's like I said, I've enjoying the hell out of it, the one-player stuff. But like this game, it's clear that just based on the UI and just the vibe of it all, it's clear that the nuts and bolts of this game, like the real meat of it, is the multiplayer shit. It's got rating boards and blah, 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 all that shit. So like, I'm not even there yet, but I bet it's fucking awesome. And like, I mean, yeah, like I posted the video of that Los Angeles boss tournament, and like I forgot to I'm so upset I forgot to record the audio, my own audio. So it's just, the guy talking, and you didn't hear any of the shit. I'm like talking shit to that motherfucker. It's fucking so fucking good, dude. And like, you'll yoke on a motherfucker and they fucking go to the ground and get up and you're like right in his fucking face. And then, you got to take, and it's half court too. So it's very street ball-y in that regard. You got to take it back and clear the ball. And like, it just feels so good. They did such a good, you can just tell that, like, the people behind it, they either had someone involved who actually is a ball player, and like just knows the culture of it, and you can feel that in every single fucking corner of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, fuck great. And it's only $30 with the fucking 25% off code. It's only $22.50. So like crazy price. And it's got cosmetic shit out the ass. You can microtransaction your ass in the game, but you earn stuff and you earn money and gear just from playing the game, so you don't have to do that, right, like they all do, of course. So, that's in there too, and yes, your avatar it's pretty customizable, and it's all sorts of cool, fun fucking gear and balls, and you can open up new courts and all sorts of shit in there. There's emoticon things you can unlock, so you shit-talking emoticons, it's fucking, it's just
gotta be able to talk smack while you balling. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so well built out, dude. So, yeah, man, I mean, I sent you the code, bro. It's like, I don't know, man. It's fucking good. It's got to be so wild in multiplayer. It's got to be so much fun.
All right. I'll check it out. I'm sold. That is Bernard's theme, bringing us into what is sure to be a very interesting discussion, to say the least. I don't know what else to say other than that.
Okay. Well, Jay, the first thing we have to answer is, why is there a chainsaw in the kitchen? And a nuclear reactor in the basement, and disembodied tentacles hopping around, and why does that peculiar doctor keep going, heh, heh, heh? Strange things have been going on for years up at Dr. Fred's old mansion, ever since that meteor landed just outside the house. But when a sweet young cheerleader named Sandy disappeared into the basement, boyfriend Dave knew it was time to take a look behind the good doctor's door. Your task is to help Dave choose a rescue team and guide them on the wildest, weirdest mission your NES system has ever seen. Just like I said, Jay. Nintendo Entertainment System? Come on, Jaleco, get your shit together. System, they say it twice. The storyline depends on the individual talents and quirks of the team members you select, and no matter how many times you play, the outcome is never quite the same. Sometimes it's puzzling, sometimes scary, sometimes downright funny, but it's always a challenge. Yeah. So if you're looking for a comedy adventure that makes you think as hard as you laugh, get into Maniac Mansion today, and then just try to get out. That's the back of the box copy. There's also a less fun one in the manual. Jay, I'm curious to hear what kind of game you think this is.
Thank you for asking, Josh. That's a great question. The internet says that this is a graphic adventure game, and I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I guess to me this is just a bunch of puzzles, like a bunch of strategic puzzles that all fit together in some kind of way. Like that's what it is, you know.
Okay, I think that is a succinct way to put it. I agree. That's great.
What about the release date, Josh? When did this freaking crazy, nutty-ass adventure come out?
Well, Ron Gilbert and Gary Winnick originally developed the game at Lucasfilm Games for the Apple II and Commodore 64 in September and October 87, respectively. Or they released it. They released their developments on those dates, and then it got its famed DOS release in May of 88. And then it was ported to Famicom all the way back in September of 88, and it didn't get its Jaleco stateside release until September 1990. And that's very interesting that it got ported in Japan that quickly, this very, very US game, I think, and didn't get here until 2 years later. That's kind of crazy. We've beaten Fall 1990 to death with notable events, box office, and Billboard chart shit, so I'll spare everyone that redundancy. We can just move on into the cover art. Pretty iconic illustration, taken directly from the PC releases. On the front of the box, you got boring-ass, useless Dave, out front of the mansion with 4 of the possible cohorts, Jeff, Razor, Bernard, Sid, going from right to left. Each is very in character. Bernard is nerdily trying to impress Razor. She's annoyed. Jeff is spaced out with a surfboard. Sid is being very aloof. And then, yes, Dave is, of course, doing nothing, hands on his hips, trying to form a useful thought of some kind. Much like his entire story track in the actual video game is. Then the meteor is whizzing past the mansion in the background, and Dr. Fred is superimposed in the sky, laughing maniacally. The title treatment is written in blood on a clean white background up top. They make mention of the Family Channel TV show that was rolling out around this time, on both the front and back of the box, so they're pretty hyped about that. And then the back of the box has that synopsis blurb I read, and then 4 screenshots. We got Tentacle meeting on the second floor, or actually the third floor landing, rather, and then Chainsaw in the kitchen to go along with that eye-catching tagline at the top of the synopsis, and then Tentacle's bedroom with the huge speakers, and lastly, we have out front of the mansion, and those are all fine choices, in my opinion. The manual is pretty damn concise, given the game complexity, I think. There's 20 pages here, color cover, and black and white innards. The first handful of pages have that aforementioned lesser story synopsis and some banter about picking your team. And it's herein explained that you can't get rid of Dave. He's locked in as your official basement brick pusher. And pages 9 through 12 walk you through the UI, a very necessary thing, seeing as they are staying fairly true to the PC, mouse-driven point-and-click scum engine here. And we will, of course, that is the appropriate response. We'll talk through that in more detail in the controls and HUD section coming up. And then page 13 explains cutscenes to you like you are 5.
Right.
And I know this is because this is a new thing for video game phenomena at the time. But holy shit, does it blow my mind that they have to speak slowly and over-enunciate this info. Reads, cutscenes are short, animated sequences, like scenes from a movie, which can provide clues and information about the characters. When you are viewing a cutscene, you do not direct the action until the text below the animation window disappears. So that's,
Were there cutscenes before 1980? Like 7?
Well, the Ninja Gaiden is the kickoff for that, and that's, 89? Maybe 88? So they have been on here, but I get the idea that they need to be explained.
You may not have played it, you may not have seen one.
But it's very, like I said, very slowly, very over-enunciated.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I was like, whoa, I've never seen a cutscene explanation in a manual. All right.
Yeah.
We're going way back.
Page 14 is a starter pack walkthrough to get you the key from under the doormat and into the mansion. And we could probably make jokes about this hand-holding, but I probably would not have figured this out when I ran way back when.
Yeah, and if you don't do that, you're not even into the game.
Right, exactly.
You're like, this game sucks, I'm out of here.
Right. And honestly, even that doormat is not the most recognizable thing as a doormat. Just a few thin.
It's not like it's there. Brown and stands out or anything, or you're not going to fray it.
So probably warranted. Page 15 explains the save game screen, which means you can save your game, and that is critical for this kind of game. Thank God there wasn't some shit password to deal with. So thank you, game developer gods, for that. Yeah, pages 16 through 17, or 16 and 17, take us through the 6 non-Todd kids and what they are most skilled at. Bernard can fix things with the proper tools. Razor has plenty of musical talent. Sid's a musician too. Wendy aspires to be a novelist. Jeff can fix the telephone. Michael is a photographer and can develop film. And that's it, though. It's up to the player to figure out how those skills might be of use in your gameplay. So, very open-ended kind of setup here. Page 18 is the hints and assorted notes. They explain each kid as a CD player with their own theme song, much like we just heard Bernard's theme coming in here, that you can let play and have the option, or rather you do have the option of turning each kid's individual track off at if any one of them like grinds your gears for any reason. But I think that's insane because they're all bangers.
What? Josh, I must agree and disagree at the same time, because yes, while I do like the music, after a while I was like, I just can't, man. I just and maybe that is a an element, that's a result of how my playthrough went, but just hearing it over and over and over and over, I was like, we gotta stop.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have any terrible banging my head up against a wall moments, even though, like I said, I hadn't beat it. So I did have some moments, but I didn't. None where I was banging my head so long that I was like, I can't listen to this music anymore. They have a blurb explaining a package that will be arriving at the house for WIERD Ed at some point, and that you want to, at the very least, prevent Ed from scoring it. But there's a multitude of reasons you want it for yourself also. And there is a bullet point list named Bulletin Board, and that has a few random tidbits here. Being sent to the dungeon isn't bad. It can even be good. And they say there's a loose brick in the dungeon, and I kind of wish that wasn't here, but I get it. Again, much like the doormat, like maybe you just can't get traction with if you don't think of this. Dude. So, but it sure would be nice if you had to, and it was for some reason or another findable enough to warrant not being told it. They also say sometimes you can get past someone by having a kid get captured, creating a diversion, and then it wraps this up with the flashlight is useful in dark places. Duh. They also point out there is an enclosed poster in the box that has more hints. Certainly had to score that. It's what's behind me right now, actually. And it looks like a bulletin board. It's absolutely covered in fun shit to further the story world and immersion. And I had no idea this existed, dude. It crushed my fucking soul that I'd went 34 years since it came out not knowing of it, dude. It's so fucking fun and just really cool. You gotta look, if you haven't seen it, you gotta look it up. Post it on our socials to make it easy. They reiterate each kid's skill in some way. Like Michael has his photography business card on there, just as one example. And they have other clues too, like the location of the meteor, So it is a really fun companion tool, I think, that they, went above and beyond to include. So cool. They do wedge some Jaleco advertisements for Bases Loaded 2 and some other titles in here. So yeah, there's the hint book also is advertised here, the capitalistic pricks. But other than that, it's all fun stuff.
Nice.
So notable history and Game Genie codes that didn't make me feel like I was cheating, Jay.
None. Literally none. There were no Game Genie codes. I looked up and there was like some random thing about codes being 0, and I was like, this is not helpful. There was 0. So,
okay.
I was disappointed about that, but also not surprised, considering this is a computer game that is ported to the NES pre-Game Genie, really. So, no shock there.
Okay.
But I will say, I'm shocked to learn that, like, I don't know if you knew this, but there was like a 3-season TV show, like, written by Eugene Levy. Did you watch that show?
I didn't watch it, no.
Oh, but you knew about it? I had no idea.
I didn't know at the time, of course.
Oh, that's what I mean. I'm like, I'm completely out of the lore of, like,
fucking family. I didn't even have cable then, so the Family Channel is fucking, like, pig Latin to me. I do. I mean, we'll talk about it more later, but did you watch any of it? It's horrific.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's
absolutely horrific. And like they didn't even. It's so weird they didn't follow this. Like they didn't really make any effort to follow what the actual story is, you know, or even the characters. Like the idea that they're all just normal humans. It's like, why even bother to make this show then? Like what, you know, like what's the point?
Exactly. They were just like taking inspiration, you know.
Right.
From,
and like it's not, and like yes, it's a big computer game, but like computer games, period. Like it's not fucking Fortnite or something, you know. I mean, it's not.
It wasn't even like Mario at the time, where you would have
Right.
people who would be familiar, like a mass
Right.
audience who,
So yeah, I just don't even kind of get why. It's a testament to the difference in like television and episodic development then versus now. It's just like someone in a room that like probably the fucking person getting that pitch had played the game. Like, yeah, that game's fucking great. Let's do it. You know, like no thought put into it all. The fact that the marketplace. There's no interest in this.
It was shocking to me, like, really, that this came out on, like, Commodore 64, like, Apple II. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe because I wasn't playing computer games then, you know, outside, like, except for the computer at school. Like, I wasn't playing computer games yet, you know. For me, it was, like, early 90s when I was playing.
Yeah, and those computers were way too basic to pull off Maniac Mansion, so kids weren't even smuggling that in.
Exactly.
Well, Douglas Crockford is a thing I came across. Douglas Crockford, who was an integral part of porting the game to the NES from the PC iterations, has a detailed accounting or recounting of all the changes to the game that Nintendo of America's uptight ass required to approve its release on the NES. The name of the title of this fucking paper or whatever is The Expurgation of Maniac Mansion for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And there's a link, of course, in the show notes if you want to read through the full thing. But some notable shit in there that I thought worth talking about. In the OG game, one of the arcade games was called Kill Thrill. And you can't say kill in an NES game. That's how fucking uptight they are. So one team member suggested Muff Diver.
What?
And they were like, okay, yeah, that's fun. Which they ran with, but would later learn that Nintendo was attuned enough to know that that was sexually referenced, or sexual referencing, and they couldn't do that either. So they'd already made the artwork. So the thing that they had to then replace the replacement with, they needed to be 4 letters, so it didn't like trash the artwork or require a great deal of change. So they named it Tuna Diver instead. So that's why that game is named what it is.
Oh my gosh.
And you couldn't have the shower message behind Ted read "For a good time, Edna 3444" because that was also sexually implication-y.
Right,
so they simplified it to just call Edna the 3444.
Like what else would you take that for? Like what?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. Again, it's such such a testament to being uptight about anything is fucking stupid, I think. But like, yeah, it's exactly it. Just like we need to not be like it's why I can't. That's why I can't have a job. It's because when someone in a corporate setting says that to me, I'm going to look at them and go, "You're a fucking moron." Like everyone knows you, moron. You're just like, why are we having this conversation? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like I don't know. I just don't want any liability. That makes me fucking skin crawl. That, you know, whatever, that whole mentality. But
that's great.
That's neither here nor there. A number of dialogue bits and art that NOA deemed too violent or sexual in nature had to be neutered. If you want to, go through the article, there's of course a comprehensive list of all that stuff. So there's a bunch of like
if they were going to put Muff Diver in here, then I'm sure like there's some artwork like Razor or something. Well, who knows? What?
The big thing I remember in the workout room, the stuff on the wall was like a Playboy spread or something, and like a bikini calendar or something, and they wanted all that changed. And I think the marble statue in the one room, they made them like take some shit off that was like whatever.
Wait a minute. So that means that everyone, like, I'm thinking about like, Nintendo would not want that, and this is the Nintendo game that we're playing. But in the reverse, that means that anybody who was a fan of this game on the PC, that's what they saw.
Yes, for sure.
So for them, it's just like, this is like a crazy
watered down thing. Yeah, for sure. Oh well, the original game, yeah.
But crazy adult, but that's like for sure kind of game,
right? And I'm sure that was part of which I'm Lucasfilm game. That's the interesting thing I think is like part of why maybe I didn't really play those relative to the Sierra ones, the King's Quest, Space Quest, Police Quest, all that shit. Because I think those were, they were certainly King's Quest was, very younger themed and much more tame, So even though I had, no oversight and no one would have kept me from, it's not like I was like, prevented from playing stuff like that. It's just I think I didn't even get wind of it or whatever it might have been. Like the reason I didn't have my own computer. The only reason I knew about King's Quest and all those was because as the stories I've told about my cousin showing me King's Quest 3 and Space Quest and shit when I visited her down in Florida. So that's how I even got wind of it, to be intrigued by it when I got a PC however many years later, so dude, I just didn't have any. You need that older cousin or brother or something to get you into shit like this.
I only played PC games because I went over to my older brother's house who worked at CompuServe, and he had PC, so I learned to play them through him. So if he's not playing it, then I'm not playing it.
Right, exactly. The prototype ROM, sans all those changes, is floating around out there, so you can get the non-neutered NES ROM if you want to. For some reason, if you have a real hankering to play it with all the OG shit, but still have the limited controls that the NES forces upon you instead of being able to use a mouse like you would be able to on a PC iteration. I'd also say here, I guess the other thing I would want to mention is, I've said it a million times, but since we're doing a full episode of Maniac, I'm going to say it here again. If you like this game and you have not done so, go buy Thumbleweed Park on your phone, the iOS. I think it's on Android probably too, but it's a Kickstarter point and click from the same Ron Gilbert, the same designer. Dropped in maybe 2017, and it is so good. It's very, very Maniac Mansion. There's a lot of kind of callbacks to it, but it's a fantastic point and click game. That's a really good iOS time killer. So do that. And then Lunchroom Table Tip Eavesdrops. There's, of course, the 6-banger in issue 16 that I already mentioned. Lots of tips in there, as well as 2 team recos. And they kind of walk you through those tracks. The Razor Bernard combination and then the Wendy Michael combination. There are no classified info things, but our Counselor's Corner love that we got in kind of led to this, actually, us doing this game issue, the last issue in 21. Of how to open the safe up in the attic, how to work through the flowchart of sending a demo tape or manuscript to the publishing company, and then calling the Meteor Police, all of which are no doubt on the tougher end of the spectrum of the game's puzzles, so I understand those being there. And I was Googling around for something. I'll talk about what it was later in my actual playthrough shit, but I stumbled across this Reddit post from a guy who sent in a classified info tip as a kid for this game and had it published. It's coming down the line in May, the May 91 issue, which we have not got to yet in our mag timeline. But he got his thing published and he was just stoked about it basically on this Reddit post. So he was just talking about how fucking elated he was that Nintendo published his shit. And the tip is titled Stunned Edna. And it points out that you when you try to go into Edna's room, even if you do the thing where you get captured and she has to take the kid to the dungeon, it's still, she's much faster than Weird Ed. So, you don't have a lot of time to just fuck around in a room, even when you do that. And then same thing, if you do the fix the phone thing, and, she has her back to you and you go through the room, you also don't have a ton of time even for that. So, he cooked up this thing or found this exploit to give you all the time you want in the world to explore a room if you would like. So, you walk in with a kid and she runs up to you and nabs you, and then they always have that shit where they talk before they take you to the dungeon, right? So you have time to do something. And if you switch to another kid in that moment, and who's positioned out in the hallway, and walk into Weird Ed's room next to hers, and have that kid get captured as well, then lastly switch back to the kid in Edna's room that's mid-capture, for some unknown math reason, Edna will be comatose by the door, and you're no longer captured, and you can roam freely as long as you'd like. So, clearly a total game hack.
Yeah, for sure.
Exploit, broken code thing for sure. But yeah, he was super stoked, of course, as you might imagine. And, the tip is interesting, I guess, but what's more interesting to me about the post, he mentioned that the classified info has the agent number for the tip, in the magazine. And we've talked about, that's one of the things we've talked about. I need to ask Howie if I were pin his ass down, and he mentions he doesn't understand why they picked the number that they had for him. There was no, indication or connection or anything. So that's a little bit of supporting evidence that it's totally random, but I found that kind of interesting just, from all the times we've been curious about that. That prick, I shouldn't call him a prick. That guy.
Right.
That guy has not gotten back to me by an interview yet, by the by, and I'm pretty salty about that.
One day, Josh. One day.
One day.
It'll happen.
Who do you think you are, Howie? Everyone else will talk to me. Probably so sick of talking about Nintendo.
I'll call him. I'll do this one. Don't worry. I'll call him.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're in Washington. Just fucking go over his house.
Yeah. We'll have drinks. It'll be fine. We'll brunch. We'll brunch it up.
Edison Alien theme that plays whenever, I guess they're doing cutscenes of the family, I guess is when those all play, right?
Yeah.
So after a very cool Lucasfilm Games title card, when you fire this bad boy up, under which some shimmering sound effects accompany light sources reflecting off the metallic font, we get some prologue action, and our view starts out in the yard near the mansion, a clear starry night sky up above a barren, dead old tree. 20 years ago today, text appears up top, and then a meteor comes crashing down out of the sky, rocketing down out of the sky. And then it crashes into the rolling hills. Out back of the house, a beat passes before the lights start popping on the house, or popping on in the house, I should say, like a few at a time with each beat. And it's in perfect sync, and then an absolute banger of a title track fires up. And then a range of credits appear above and below the house before we cut to a black card where Maniac Mansion cruises by in huge lettering. And then we cut to a blue screen with the crazy-ass title treatment up above and a lineup of the kids' avatars. You're instructed to pick 2 more kids in addition to the auto-selected Dave. As you highlight each one of these, you get a little blurb. Dave says Sandy's boyfriend, organizer of the rescue. Razor reads leader of the band Razor and the Scumettes. Bernard is Geek Award winner and Physics Club president. Sid is an aspiring musician who hopes to start his own band. Wendy is waiting for her first big break as a novelist. Jeff lives at the beach, answers to surfer dude. And then Michael is an ace photographer for the college newspaper. And I thought it was high school.
Yeah, I thought it was high school too, this whole time.
Yeah, me too. Their theme music plays when you select them too, so you can even test that out to make sure you like that before committing to them, which I think is smart and good. So, squad select. Jay. Like I said, I played 2 times. My first time through, I went with a Todd and Todd LLP themed idea where I had Dave, Sid, and Jeff. And I'd never used either of those fuckers before, Jeff or Sid, so I was playing pretty blind for that one. How did you roll for your playthrough?
So I played, like, I was really looking at, like, what skills would be the most useful in my mind, like, after having...
there's no way to know that until you get into the game,
but I'm saying, like, when we tried the game before, like, when we saw it come up in the magazine, and I was like, all right, Maniac Mansion, let me play through here. You know, and I looked at this, I was kind of just, like, random, like, I can't remember what, I think it was literally random at the time. And so I remember thinking, like, oh, I just need to think through, like, if there's puzzles, or if there's stuff to do, there's got to be useful skills. So I definitely went with Bernard because he can fix several things. So I said, he's got to be useful. I know there's broken stuff, broken
some
records,
kind of way,
broken stuff. Like, I remembered that. So for me, he was like an automatic number 1. Okay. And then for the second one was a little bit of a wild card because you got 2 people who can have music related skills. So I'm like, either that's important or they're just trying to throw you off because everybody's going to choose that, but like the real optimal path is somebody else. So to be counter, I chose Michael because he can develop film, which seems oddly specific and something I'm going to need when dealing potentially with aliens, you know, like capturing them.
Okay, that's fucking.
So
that's diving fucking deep, dude.
Look, this game.
No, it's good. That's good.
You know,
that's a good thing for a game like this in particular. But that's good. Period. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, yeah, it's. I know we'll talk about it later, but it's such an interesting game in that there's of course no way to know it, but like beating it 2 times in succession.
Every time you say that,
eyes.
I feel like you're bragging.
I don't mean it to be
a little bit more.
No, I feel like you need. I feel like that helped me kind of see the Matrix a little bit, you know,
okay,
because it is this puzzle game where, you know, you don't see what's behind the curtain really, and each combination of kids, more importantly, creates a completely different thing. So like, I learned in the 2 playthroughs that like there's like 2 roles. There's one of the kids needs to befriend someone that can help you in the end of the game when you need some outside help. And then the other kid is like some way, shape, or form creates how to deal with the meteor. You know what I mean? So like those are the 2 like really main things that you need to accomplish, and how each kid can do either one of those things or the combination thereof is it's just a really fucking interesting way to kind of, I don't know, just set up a video game. And again, like, I mean, I was saying in the group chat, like at the time, man, there's just nothing like this on the NES, even close, like this complex of systems, you know what I mean? It's just really fucking cool. And one of the reasons I like this game so much is just the complexity of it. It doesn't even have to be like that. That's kind of the beauty of it too. Like, it doesn't have to be complex. It can be rather straightforward. You can just, you know, whatever. I mean, you're going to do some opaque shit, sure, no matter what. But like, you can kind of like, you know, I just need to fucking distract someone and then kill the meteor or get rid of it. But there's things you can do that are completely different ways of dealing with even the meteor or even the befriending track. There's just so many ways to tackle the main problems on top of all the different ways to tackle the small problems, you know. It's just really cool. Really, really cool. My second time around, I went I didn't know it when I was picking it, but in hindsight, probably the 2 most unique in the game. Michael, I think, is a very unique track. He's the only one that can do that film developing shit, and that has its own room in the house, and like, there's all this shit you got to do that is unique to him. The film is otherwise useless. Finding that was kind of one of the things that I couldn't remember how to do and is not at all. You kind of got a chance into it if you don't know how to do it already, you know? So he's pretty unique. And then Wendy, with her punching up of the meteor's manuscript note, or route rather, is the way to one, or probably the most unique in sequence, I think. So she is the only person that can do that and truly befriend the meteor, whereas everyone else is just trying to dispose of it or get rid of it. You know what I mean? So that was pretty fun as a, I don't know, different perspective to take through the game on my second play. So that was cool. So moving into the game. Like few games on the NES before it, maybe only Shadowgate off the top of my head, there aren't controls. The whole game is just point and click shit, right? So even, you know, Shadowgate's companion title, Deja Vu, I don't think hits until December of 1990. So I'm pretty sure Shadowgate is the only one like this. But you have 12 self-explanatory verbs: push, pull, give, open, close, go to, get, use, read, new kid, turn on, turn off. Those always hover above your inventory in the lower third of the screen. And from these, you build short sentences, such as use jar of water in microwave, et al. And you know, whichever kid you are currently controlling will then carry that out in the play area above. And yes, that is just fucking, you know, out there for a kid playing the NES in 1990, you know? If you don't have any PC exposure, this is just like, what in the fuck is happening here?
Dude, exactly my thoughts. That is me, and I turn this off. Like, no. Absolutely not.
What do you mean I can't move them? Like I'm hitting the
what's
thing.
Happening?
Yeah, why can't I move this brick-pushing motherfucker? Yeah, it's fucking wild. So start takes you to the save menu where you can save, restore, and or start a new game. And there's a fun depiction of the Green Tentacles' band. They are playing the drums, or rather, yeah, the Green Tentacle is playing the drums, I mean. And then Purple Tentacle is on the Tagar, and there's a Pink Tentacle jamming on a shoulder-slung keyboard here. And they actually have the hold reset while turning the power off, NES battery backup commandment of the times, written down below. This must not have been an MMC6 or MMC5, whichever one where that went away. This was not one of those cards, clearly. And then lastly, the select button is a most common verbs cycling shortcut. Open, get, use, and go to. It just moves through them by hitting the select button. You don't have to move the cursor to the letters. And much like the poster, I had been loving on this game for 34 years and never knew of this massive quality of life improvement. That was critical.
Say that again.
If you hit the select button, it just cycles through those 4 often used commands. Open,
I never
use.
did that.
Yep. Yep, you got to read the manual, bro. Got to read the manual.
I read the manual and I skipped that somehow in the whole thing. I
noticed it. My jaw dropped when I read it, dude. My jaw dropped. It was like, oh my God, that is so nice. Because yes, you are certainly using fucking open and get constantly. And to be able to just blow through that without having to dick around with that cursor. Oh, so good. So good.
Makes sense.
Was a huge improvement on previous playthroughs of my life. So, flow of the game. We start out front of the mansion. Dave is briefing his chosen cohorts and the game player, most importantly, on why they're here and what lies ahead. So he says, okay, this looks like the old mansion. I'm sure I saw Dr. Fred take Sandy here. It's up to us to get her out. This could be dangerous. If anyone wants out, ... And then whomever of the 2 companions is standing closest to Dave will pipe up with some dialogue that is unique to the character. So each it's so again, just they had the development for this must have just been like fucking just a lot. And I've seen, it's a little bit of everyone knows this if you're a Lucasfilm Games fan or Maniac Mansion fan. There's been publishings of the design documents. They put it on a fucking board and it's like this. It looks like a flowchart, like an engineer's flowchart of how each thing moves into each other and all that shit. So it's they moved it around. They laid out this game like an engineer before they even started to.
Oh, you'd have to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, sure. But not everyone would think of that. So even my point is, even in this, who your character nearest to Dave is, which I think is the order you pick them. I don't know. I kind of fence tested this a little bit, and I wasn't able to exactly figure out why one kid goes closer to Dave or not. But whatever the case, they have different roles, and they say different things depending on which kid is in which position. So this conversation even plays out differently based on who you picked. It's not uniform.
Interesting. I had Bernard cower and run,
and he chicks out,
away.
right? He chickens out every time. Exactly. And then Michael asks if you guys have seen that movie where 4 kids went into the strange house and never mind. So yeah, he says that, and those are the only 2 that I found on my own without just going through and starting the game with every single one of them, which would have been a pain in the ass. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So after the comedy, one kid will ask, "So how do we get in the mansion?" And then Dave turns and looks at it. He says, We can try looking for a key under the doormat," which is reiterating the starter pack walkthrough in the manual. And
in case you don't have one by chance somehow.
Exactly. In case you're running this. And then he says, "Okay, let's go rescue Sandy," and we are off. And just kind of getting your feel for this, there's some signs on the wrought iron fence out front that read, "Warning, trespassers will be horribly mutilated." And then they have the Addy 2282 Cemetery Lane. So just kind of fun table setting things that let you know the crazy ass world that you're in. And the only place to go is heading left along the fence, a short scroll to the front facade of the house. There's a big wraparound porch, some steps leading up to it, a mailbox out front, typical Victorian house type stuff. And typing that in my computer for the notes, Jay, it occurred to me I did not know precisely what Victorian style house means. Do you know what Victorian style house means? Yes.
I don't know the actual definition, but I know what it is when I see it. I know what that means. I would use it in a sentence to describe certain even crazy fraternity houses in that style that I've seen at campuses. Okay.
I kind of the same thing for me. Yeah, I feel like I could probably I wouldn't, not 100% of the time probably, but semi-reliably. Right.
Sure.
Semi-reliably understand what we're talking about. But yes, the actual definition, first return on Google. Recognizable characteristics are steep tiled roofs, painted brick, bay windows, and asymmetrical design. Also, inside, wooden floorboards, plastered cornicing, sweeping staircases, wooden sash windows, and tiled entrance hallways would have been incorporated into most Victorian homes. Good to know.
Yeah. Checks out.
Yeah. There is indeed a doormat at the top of the steps, so you may then test run your first video game Mad Libs creation, selecting pull from the verb set and then moving the cursor atop the mat. The sentence pull doormat appears in the build line above the verbs, below the play area, and then Dave carries the action out. The mat slides to the left, revealing a key. Then it's get key, use key in front door, go to front door. And you cannot just select open front door with the key in your inventory, dear Lord Disciple. You must do all the rigmarole. And that is a huge part of this game experience, is rigmarole, where you're having to do fucking each step, even though you know exactly what the end one should be, and we should be able to just click and do that, you know? So, I mean, I get that's part of the puzzle build and whatever, but yeah, there are plenty of times as a modern player where you'll be like, what the fuck did I have to do and that, like all that for?
Yes.
So that is pretty much it for the breaking point of where any one playthrough of this game has to be like any other. And even this isn't really the case. You don't have to use Dave for this initial key bit. And in fact, I would walk over and, like on my second playthrough, I mean, I would walk over and give the key to Michael after unlocking the door in my second play, because I learned in my first play that I didn't want Dave's dedicated brick-pushing ass to have that key in his pocket after Ed goes outside to check for the package delivery, because Ed locks the door behind him, and then you need the key to get it back open. So if Dave has the key in the basement, you then have to take a kid down to the basement and have Dave give him the key to get the front door back open. So this can actually, I would learn later, you can actually soft lock your game, or hard lock your game rather, by this. If you have all the kids outside when this happens, and the person with the key is in the basement and can't get out because there's not a second kid down there to get him out, you can't get the door open or get back inside the house, and your game is fucked.
Like, you're talking about stuff that is incomprehensible to me, because why would you have all the kids outside? Like, to me, like, I love...
Oh, I'm not saying you would. Yeah, I don't think it's commonplace.
Okay, I'm like,
possible.
why would you... I don't know. Even if you're playing this from the standpoint of, like, I'm a kid at this time, I'm watching scary movies, there's always, like, a group of kids together. They go to the scary house, whether it's Jason or Freddy Krueger. Like, you're not going in alone. We're all going in. If you're scared, we're all going in. You know what I mean? So, like, even when I put Dave through first, I'm switching to the next kid and taking them in. I'm like, why are we leaving them outside?
I played it too much to do that for sure. I mean, yeah, like getting to this is really not even that hard, because if you don't bring them in, you leave them outside, and you have Dave running around, whatever, and you don't get captured. I mean, it's not easy. You would have to roam for a long time and not get captured, which we'll talk here in a second. They kind of try to like introduce getting captured pretty early on to make sure you do so.
They
prevent this. Yeah, yes, they do. To prevent this from happening, probably not deliberately this, but I think it is. They want you to get into the game loop of getting captured and understand that that is not necessarily a bad thing, you know, as the manual states. So I'm not saying it'll be easy, but if you kept Dave uncaptured until the package came and that motherfucker went outside and locked the door, and then Dave got captured before you thought to check the door with one of the other kids, that's all you would have to do to have this play out and be stuck, you know? So it's not that fucking crazy to have that happen.
That would suck.
But certainly not the most common thing. But just the fact that it's possible is a testament to how wacky this game is. So yeah, I know Dave is fucking useless. He has no specialized skills of any kind, and the specialized skills of the other characters have everything to do with working the various story tracks to thwarting the meteor and saving Sandy in this game. So yeah, I like the way I play this game, having an experience pool with it, and fuck Dave. I know Weird Edna is at the fridge in the kitchen at the beginning of the game. So
I learned that over and over again.
Right. Well. yeah, that is a fixed thing for sure. It is not random. So yeah, in the first doorway you see when you walk in the house is the kitchen, right? So again, I think they're This is part of the like very intended beginning of the game experience, you know. They can't force you to do it, but there's a whole lot of breadcrumbs that lead you to it. So yeah, fuck Dave. I know Weird Nenda is in the fridge at the kitchen, which is the first doorway. So every time I start this game, I take his sorry George Niang-like ass in there and get him thrown in the dungeon where he will stay for the entire game. Just a loose brick pushing motherfucker. He never leaves the dungeon. Ever.
Really?
Did you try to use Dave in your playthrough?
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, absolutely.
He has no use, dude. There's no reason to ever take him out of the dungeon. He never does anything that the other kids can't do.
Well, I could understand that coming from somebody who played through this game twice.
Sure.
I can understand that.
Well, more than twice. I played way more than twice.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, it's I was thinking, okay, he's the boyfriend. I don't want to get him captured. But yeah, I was actually using Bernard and Michael a lot more than him, but I didn't want to get him captured either. So I was constantly just like moving him and like trying to make sure people weren't getting captured, you know, and out of the way when people are running, you know.
I love it. I love that. I
didn't know who was going to be needed what. Like I didn't
Sure.
know, even though skill wise, maybe he didn't do anything special.
But yeah, no, I'm
He's
not
still the
suggesting.
boyfriend, so I didn't know if he needed to like be.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that you would be any reason to know this or even think it. Yeah, so I totally get it. That's fucking awesome though, because yeah, he has no. Honestly, even on top of the fact he has no use or purpose whatsoever. Standing at that loose brick puts him closest to the only thing he would be good for, going in and getting Sandy. You know, so. Because the lab door is right there next to the brick. So, like, not only does it not hurt you to not have him fucking participating at all, he's also closest to what his only function would be. So, in many ways, it is the first thing to do. If you're if you're min-max in Maniac Mansion.
I can see that.
Yeah. So, yes, let us discuss this first encounter with the family, that while it doesn't have to be the first, if we could aggregate the data of Maniac Mansion player hive across all history, would surely be the most frequent logged first encounter, simply because of its proximity to the front doorway. And this, like I said, I very much think they're doing this on purpose, because they want you to discover that loose brick. They want you to discover that getting captured is not a bad thing. They want you to discover that getting captured is the solution to many a puzzle. You know what I mean? So they want to get you into that right away, I think, and that's very much intelligent design. And you walk into the kitchen, scooting past the stove, microwave, sink area to the huge purple fridge, in front of which Nurse Edna stands poking through its gross contents. She's wearing a normal nurse outfit, but her skin is a deep Smurf blue color. The whole Edison's family is, in fact. Mm-hmm. And upon seeing you, she turns and bum rushes you. She says, "Want some food? Come here, dearie." And you can run from her, or any other family member for that matter. But the point-and-click UI makes it damn near impossible, basically.
Yeah, I never... I mean,
yeah.
From Ed, yeah, I was able to escape. But like from her, I was captured, man. I didn't even think I could.
I'm not suggesting it's practical. I'm simply saying it is possible. And in fact, if you were playing with a mouse on the PC version, that's probably a much more, well, no questions, a much more practical solution thing. If you do bump into someone, you know what I mean? But yeah, here in the NES version, not gonna fucking happen. So she gets you and she says, "I got you." And then you both stand perfectly side by side. She's not even touching or restraining you, in fact, for a beat before it cuts to the dungeon. And then you are in the dungeon, standing face to face in front of the open steel dungeon exit door on the right-hand side of the dungeon there. And she says, "I have a half a good mind to talk to my husband." Then she scurries out the door and slams it behind her, leaving you locked in. And down here on the far side of the area is an even bigger steel door. This one is double padlocked, and on the wall next to it is painted Secret, and that's spelled SECKRIT, lab, and next to that is an arrow pointing towards the door. There are some barred windows with nothing but darkness visible beyond on the back wall, and there is a mini lesson here to get your cursor basically just systematically moving back across the screen. And this is how you will find things, POIs, basically. So again, just part of that, like, teaching you how to play this game, that's a very important thing, because there's, probably the biggest use of it is when you walk into a dark room, the only way to find a light is to just fucking randomly move around until light pops up in the text thing, you know? So they have to, you need to know that to get anywhere in this game, so they might as well teach you here right at the top.
It's funny, I stumbled on that that light thing in the nuclear reactor. When I just walked in, I was like, what in the world? Because I didn't, for some reason, I just didn't intuitively know where the door was since I came in that way. So I was just moving around. I was like, wait, light switch.
Well, I
was like, whoa, light switch.
That's extra fucked down there, yeah, because it's dark, obviously, when you go in there, and you can walk behind that machine. I don't even know if that happened to you, but if you're just clicking
once. I did,
okay,
but only after the light was on. So
okay, yeah. So all right, yeah, if you could do that in the dark, you'll just be like stuck, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, so yeah, that's a kind of a fucking fucked up thing, I think, but yeah, that's how you find lights for sure. So yes, you are in this case. You're not looking for light. You're looking for the loose brick, which is below the second window from the left, and you need to push that to unlock the door Edna left through. And the catch is you are much too far from the door to make it through.
Useless by yourself,
right? Yeah, exactly. So honestly, even with the other kid, having to go down to new kid, select the new kid, and then move up to the door is not easy either. So, and I don't know if it closes the second you go through it, no matter what, but between how easily you could miss the window and how frantically you feel the need to go through that flowchart, it always feels stressful.
I was doing it again last night, and I failed 2 times in a row before I was successful. I was like, oh my gosh, the same thing. Yeah,
it's super frustrating. Yeah, super fucking frustrating. Which, again, I'm sure that was delivered too. They want you to fucking, God damn it. So yeah, you have to have 2 kids down here basically to make that fucking even happen at all. Yeah, I'd say maybe I want to code it at maybe 3 seconds is probably what the window is. But yeah, it sure feels like less when you're scrambling.
Yeah, man. When I found the loose brick in the dungeon, because it was kind of just like I hovered over it by pure accident. I was like, oh, what was that? But I was like, I don't know how this even helps me because I did it and I would hear the sound. I'm like, what is even happening?
Yeah.
Like, what is?
Yeah, and I just love that too. That so much. There's so many things that I won't think of that I love hearing out of you as we talk through this because, just I played it too many times and just whatever, you just don't have those emotional responses anymore. But like the little things you're just like, fuck. And then you just switch into the kid and like try something else. Like I just like that very infrequently happens to me because I know too much about this game. Even getting to the point where I was doing things that I'd never done before with these kids because I'd never beat the game at all. Like even that, I kind of like, there's only like a handful of things that like, I gotta try that. Like I just know too much about the story world to really be lost at any time. So I'm ecstatic to hear these bumping into things.
You want to laugh? You want to laugh at my pain? That's fine. I will share it.
Yeah.
I will share it with the internet. Let's laugh together.
So now that Dave is at his official command post, what the fuck do we do now? Well, it is wildly different depending on which 2 companions you toted along with Dave. And yeah, I propose we get into this, like those unique paths later in the next segment and focus on the broad narrative plot points that all the players will see, regardless of which kids they have, as long as they aren't speedrunning the shit anyhow. And yeah, you can actually beat the game. I found this reading around after I'd kind of closing out my notes here. You can beat the game before seeing all the cutscenes, I believe, as some are catalyzed simply by real-time passing, which is kind of wild to me.
Real-time passing?
Yeah, like they're actually, I think a lot of them are at like 25 minutes and 10 minutes, and like it was kind of wild to me
for sure.
to realize that,
Absolutely, man. That was like one of the biggest points that was surprising to me because there was one time that I recognized early that I didn't click off the emulator to like pause it because like one of the kids came in and I was like talking to them about something and like
some shit just happened.
And like a cutscene jumped in and then like I was like, oh no, like a timer started. Like I know like too much has happened. Like I didn't want to start right now, and then I eventually died. Like game over. And I learned that pretty freaking early. I was like, okay, there's some time-based aspects to this game. And I am constantly running up against it, at least for me. I don't. Yeah. Maybe it was easier for you because you have so much knowledge, but for me, I was like, oh my gosh, so stressful every time.
So, yeah, let's talk about the timer-based ones first. There are some that are action-based, but let's talk about the timer-based ones first. So, not long after starting the game, I'm guessing around 10 minutes, we will abruptly jump cut to our first Dr. Fred and Sandy in Fred's lab. Look, and they stand in front of Doc's fucking mainframe! And all of these are accompanied by the Edison Family Tentacle theme music track that we heard going into this segment. And Sandy is wearing a rather revealing tube top and quite the tiny black skirt. Lips are covered in red lipstick. And Dr. Fred looks like a doctor, complete with that obsolete thing on his head we talked about in the episode covering the issue Nintendo
Yes.
Power with Dr. Mario on the cover, a head mirror. And he's got Smurf skin too, of course.
Yeah.
Dr. Fred says, well, my dear, hope you are having fun. Within minutes, it'll all be over. You'll be hooked up to my machine, getting your pretty brains removed. And that's actually one of the things that changed too. It originally says getting your pretty brains sucked out. And they were okay with pretty brains removed, but not pretty brains sucked out, which is wild. But
interesting.
Sandy replies, you'll never get away with this. Dave and his friends will rescue me. You and your meteor can eat slime. Dr. Fred then turns directly to our POV, which this happens a lot and is really fun, I think, with these cutscenes, and addresses us as the audience, says that's what she thinks, before laughing to himself as he rushes out of the room, leaving Sandy behind alone. And then she runs to the opposite door and begins yelling for help. End scene. It cuts to black for a beat before we return to wherever you were last hanging out with whatever kid, and we move into these ever so abruptly so you can be like very mid-action, you know, and have just be ripped out of them for these moments too. So that can be sometimes kind of frustrating, fuck you up a little bit, and that's just part of the flow of the game.
I first thought I was advancing when that stuff happened, so I was like, ooh, cool, but then I realized not at all.
Yeah, it's just time-based, yeah. A less than determinately timed one that usually happens between the lab scene and the next is Weird Ed alone in his bedroom. And we'll cut to him and he says, gee, I'm hungry. And then he heads to the kitchen, specifically the fridge, singing to himself along the way, which is cute. It's like dum 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 or some shit like that. And he is after the cheese in the fridge. You can obviously have gotten to the kitchen already when this is happening. So what he says is dependent on whether or not you have already taken the cheese into your inventory. And if you did take it, he says, where's the cheese? And if you have not taken it, he says, oh boy, cheese for my hamster and me. And it's very inconsequential. It's just character building fluff that demonstrates he's not the most sinister guy in the world, I think. I think that's the idea there, to kind of like give you a clue that maybe these people are not horrible, you know? On top of also, I think, kind of teaching you that what you do in the world matters to the story. You know what I mean?
I was going to say I'll take the latter, the former. That's an interesting take, but yes, I would definitely agree with the latter.
Well, he's super cute. He's like singing to himself and shit. You know?
Well, yeah, clearly,
gee, I'm hungry. That doesn't sound threatening. Yeah,
it's telling me how I can better interact with the world. But like for me, I had already talked to him, but at this point. Finally, you know.
Okay. The next one rips in around the 15-minute mark, and it is Weird Ed again expressing his concerns about his pops to Nurse Edna in her bedroom. And this is a really fun conversation. Ed says, Daddy's been very strange with his secret project, ... And then Nurse Edna, she's like the worst mom ever. She's like, yeah, so? And Ed says, well, Mommy, I'm worried. He hasn't slept in 5 years. And she goes, yeah, so? And then he says, and he carries those bodies into the basement at night. And she's like, what's your point, Ed? I'm a very busy lady. And then Ed turns to camera and breaks the fourth wall a sec before turning. It doesn't say anything. He just literally gives us a look, you know, which is cool. And then he turns back to her and says, never mind. And then just scoots out of the room. And yeah, it's just elite parenting and super funny, you know. Such a great encapsulation of the tonality of this game. Probably why it resonates with me so much. At 25 minutes, maybe a bit less, I'm not entirely sure, the doorbell bellows across the entire house. You hear it ring, ding dong, and then around 30 seconds-ish later, we cut to Weird Ed in his room, and he's obsessing over the commando plans hanging on his wall. He says, oh, the doorbell, I wonder if that's my package. And that is your cue to get your nearest kid's ass out front to the mailbox and nab that critical item before he gets down there. And I want to say I was kind of fence testing it. It seemed like about 40 seconds that you have to get out there before he does. And if you beat him to it and pick it up, I guess I didn't try actually standing there without having picked it up yet. So I'd be curious to know what happens in that case. But if you picked it up and you're still standing there and he can see you, he'll say, can't you read the sign? And he's referencing the sign that says no trespassers will be mutilated or whatever on the fence out front. He's referencing that and he says, can't you read the sign? Now get out of here. And then he just goes back inside. And this is when he locks the door, like I mentioned. So yes, this is like,
wait, when does that happen? If he's outside while you're outside?
Yes. If you were still standing there when he goes out to check for the package, he doesn't actually capture you. He just says, like, didn't you read the sign?
Interesting. That didn't happen to me at all. I went out there, grabbed the package, and just like hung out. Like I was like messing around with the package. He never came out. Like,
Really?
So I just assumed that because I grabbed the package first,
He never came?
that he just stopped. You know, it was
I don't
weird.
know.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have an explanation. Maybe you were just off. Maybe you didn't see him. Maybe if you can't see the door, it doesn't give you that. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure why that would not show you something to tell you that he came.
Oh, you know what? No, I think it was because I took Dave. He left like the kitchen, and Ed saw me from the top of the stairs and was like, "Hey, intruder!" And I bolted out the front door. And got the package.
Okay.
So like maybe.
Oh, so you were standing there on his way to the door.
Yeah. So like.
Oh, that's cool.
So
yeah.
maybe because he saw me at the top of the stairs inside the house, and I went outside the house.
Right.
That broke it, and he went back, and I was able to just like grab the package.
That's such a testament to how cool it is. Like that. Yeah, I mean, we haven't mentioned that, but like anytime you see them going to do something like taking someone to the dungeon or whatever the fuck it is, like they really do that. And if you have a kid just standing there, they grab them. You know what I mean? So it's just such a, video games in 1990 did not have object permanence. If it's not on screen, it just does, it's gone, So like it's fucking like a really, really.
This is not an open world where they're going to follow you until you take them out kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. It's really cool. Really fucking well done. Such an immersive.
But I didn't know that. So I definitely was like stressed out for a second. Like, should I run? I was just like waiting for it to happen. But I wasn't sure. I was like, should I go out of screen? Like go farther? Because I can't go in the house again until they come back out. But then after a while, they never did. So I was like, I guess I'm good.
Oh, good. So cool. So cool. So yeah, in addition to the critical package acquisition, this also creates your first opportunity to pilfer his bedroom. And he has dimes in his piggy bank, which you must first break. I think it's weird too. You can't like push it all. You have to click open to get it open. You can't you can't push it. You can't pull it. You have to click open, which I think is a weird word choice. I think there's probably a lot of people that got fucked by that.
I think part of the reason I stumbled through this game and did not complete it, spoiler alert, is because there were a couple things like that didn't make sense for me to like use that action on that item. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's it's unavoidable at this time. You're gonna just have some. It's like those text parser games too. Same thing. There's just some things that you're just not gonna be. The English language is too complex. Basically, it's not has nothing to do with the game. So the English language is too complex, and there's only so many bits with which to capture interpreting the English language into this video game world. You know what I mean? So that's an unavoidable part of it, unfortunately. So yeah, there's the dimes, and then there's also the card key from behind his hamster. And to get that, you have to first grab the hamster and actually put it in your inventory. And this is one of the really fun, random, wild things about this game. You can give him the hamster back as kind of like it's a get out of jail free card to befriend him if he like captures you before you give him the package back, or with a kid that's different than the one that you do give him the package with. It allows you to befriend him to give him his hamster back, which I always do because I'm not one of the sick fucks who. One of the most notorious things about this game is you can take that hamster and go put his ass in the microwave and blow his ass up, which is wild. And it's funny because you can do it in an NES game, and that's like we went through that whole rigmarole about the fucking
and somehow that was okay,
right? But here's the thing. No one at Nintendo was sick enough to even try that. So
yeah, I wouldn't have. Like, what are we even thinking about?
Right.
Like,
so yeah, it made it through, unfortunately, because that's something that should have been fucking. I support having been removed, but and something else I thought about this fucking piggy bank shit, dude. Would your kids know what a piggy bank is or what its function is?
Oh yeah.
Do they? Do they have a piggy bank?
Oh yeah,
that you're supposed to break it?
No, not that breaking. No. You have a twist bottom, so you open it up. Like it's not. Right. Yeah, they definitely have them. We call them piggy banks, even though I don't think at
any of them
these
are actual
ages
pigs.
They're not pigs. Yeah, they used to be right. Like younger. But no, my My oldest, we definitely has had versions. They all have each type of different kind of bank, but they're not piggies.
Okay, so it has persevered. That's interesting. Yeah, that was one of those things that I thought might have been totally lost by the wayside.
No, man.
But yeah,
parents send like all kind of cash. Like if you're not giving gift cards and stuff, especially like during the pandemic, people were sending cash. So it's like, where is a little kid going to put that cash? We kind of had to get something,
People were sending cash in the pandemic. What? Like why?
No, I mean like for birthdays and stuff. Like when you couldn't get together, you're just like, oh, I'm going to send you.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant they were sending cash instead of some sort of like other whatever as like because they didn't
like
believe in the world. The world monetary system was collapsing or something. That's what
no, just kind of like like grandparents stuff. Like here's $20,
sure,
kind of.
No, totally. That's funny. Yeah, I had a piggy. It was an actual this beautiful, huge pig that my grandmother and my mom both were really into painting ceramics, and my grandmother made me this piggy bank that was always at her house until she died, and I took it to wherever. But beautiful, huge, really ornate thing, and it did have rubber stoppers on the bottom, so you didn't have to break it, but it was ceramic. Like the way a piggy bank would have been, So yeah, I had one, even though I didn't have to break it. But yeah, I guess that's close. That's good enough, I suppose. It's certainly dumb that you have to break it, but obviously that was prior to like rubber being like that was just the whole idea with the piggy bank is that like it's for a rainy day or a certain goal or whatever it would be, and like it forces you to save it until you break it, and that like finality is the saving catalyst. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I could see that being very satisfying, like if you were like saving up for like something that you really really wanted, and you're
sure,
now you get
especially
to
as a kid,
and
especially as a kid.
Kidding me?
Like,
Give me
a
a
fun
hammer. I can smash anything.
Fun ass activity.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Fucking bonus plan. Not only do I get the thing I want, I get to break some shit.
Sign me up, please.
Yeah. I would love to be. Should do that. You should do that as an experiment. You should go buy one that has to be broken, and try to whatever. Give them some sort of group goal, whatever it might be, and like act. Because I'm sure they would find it fun too. But also, I would just love to. You got to record it. Like the explain to them that it has to be broken. I feel like would be a very obtuse concept to a kid now. Like what do you like? Why? Why don't we just have something that we can open instead of having to break it? You know what I mean? I feel like it'll be a very tough to grasp concept.
I don't know, man. I think telling them you get to smash it at the end, and that's what we're doing, they'd be like, eyes would light up. Maybe explaining the why for a second, but think about it, you get to smash this, and I just show it to them. That's like, we can smash like with a hammer? Yeah. Okay.
Regardless of the outcome.
Like when do we get to do it? Right now? No, not right now. Just when you're done.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun experiment regardless of the outcome, though. You probably find some really cool ones, too, I'm sure, these days on Etsy or something. So up after that is Dr. Fred heading up to the missus room to lie right to her fucking face. He says, I'm having some trouble with the zombie-matic. I must shut down the power, but only for 5 or 6 minutes. And it's actually not to her face. She turns her back to him when he enters and won't even look at him the entire time. He sputters all this out, but he's trying to say it to her face. And he also, check that. He's also addressing the audience. So like she's looking at the wall, he's looking at us. And I think there's just a lot of emotional layers to unpack there. You know what I mean? It does a really good job of visually conveying the rift between them, which is cool, I think. Good storytelling. She eventually, after he finishes this whole spiel, she does turn to him finally, and she says, is that all you have to say to me? You've been in the basement for the past 5 years. Very matter-of-factly. Not about 5. She says, you've been in the basement for 5 years. Sometimes I think you like that meteor more than me. And then Dr. Fred, still without turning towards her, by the way, says, oh, my little beauty queen, soon it will be different. And then he sprints out the door, stops just short before Edna delivers a very cold, sure, and then smiles wide to our POV. And Dr. Fred just exits without ever looking back, closes the door behind him. So yeah, it's a very good communication that is not going well.
What's an interaction?
And then the latter two, two left that we have not talked about, are later in the game timer. And I didn't even get to them in my second play when I was really timing this out and had the video to kind of go back through and figure this stuff out. But The next is Dr. Fred visiting his tot in his room, Weird Ed, and it's a pretty fun one. Dr. Fred says, "Hey Ed, the meteor wants a hamster and an electric cattle prod." And Weird Ed says, "My hamster? Nobody touches my hamster." And Dr. Fred says, "Better watch it, Ed. You're going to tick off the meteor. It already thinks you stole my purple card key." So it's a tip that the card key is there, Yeah. And Ed says, I don't know what you're talking about." And then Fred comes back with, "I can't get to the meteor without it." And Weird Ed says, "Oh, really?" Dr. Fred replies, "Shape up, kid." And yeah, there's a whole lot of not subtle suggestions that you need to get that card key from behind the hamster, I think, there. And then the last one is the purple tentacle harassing Sandy in front of the fucking mainframe in the lab. Sandy says, "Get away from me, you purple slime geek. Don't touch me." And then Dr. Fred enters from stage left, says, "Purple tentacle, stop playing with the lab experiments. Bring her, the machine is ready." And then Sandy shrieks with an eek. Then there are a handful of other events that are not dependent on your character and or a timer. The first kid that gets up onto the third floor landing is going to run into the green tentacle standing there, and he will not let you pass without paying the tithe. He slithers over to you and meets you head on, probably giving plenty of first-time players a real scare that they were dungeon bound, so that was cool. Red herring type device. Or worse, maybe. And then he starts his demands. First, he says, "Feed me and you can pass." And how long did this take you to figure out? What did you feed him? And
I mean, it took a while, because like every other time that I would come up there, he would just scare me and I would be forced to run away.
You would run. Okay.
Like the kids would just run over to me and like scare. So it's just like, all right, so I can't go there. And so I would just not go up there. I just kept cycling through all the other places I could go downstairs, trying to figure stuff out and trying to figure, all right, what am I doing next? What do I do? And it was only until, I don't know, man. It was only until I started like picking up everything, until I was just like, all right, I'm just going to grab every freaking thing that I can grab, because some stuff that I was like, didn't think was useful before, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to grab it. So I just started grabbing stuff. So it was only when I grabbed the freaking wax fruit and stuff that I was like, all right, maybe these drinks are going to be useful later, because like people keep going down to the kitchen. I'm just going to grab it all. So it was only then when I went up there that the tentacle came up and just kind of stood there. Like it didn't even like rush me away like before. Right. So the interaction, like, so in my mind, the engineering flow was like, if you don't have that in your inventory, he's going to scare you off, and I'm immediately back down on the stairs.
I didn't even think of that.
Like, I'm immediately pushed down on the stairs.
Do you think...
I'm not running. I'm, like, pushed down. Like, it scares me. I'm pushed down to the next...
Oh, really? Yeah, I was going to say, I'm curious to, like, maybe you just, like, responded and ran away before you saw that dialogue. But that's interesting to think that maybe he doesn't even give you that dialogue if you don't have the wax fruit to begin with.
That's what I mean. Like, because if the interaction was different. Like, I came back... I walked up and he just came and stood in front of me, and I was just like, "Oh,
interesting."
And then like the dialogue.
Yeah, you role play that he can smell it, and that's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting.
I don't know, man. It was shocking to me.
That's wild.
So that kind of threw me off. Like, okay, now I really have to pick up that reinforced what I had previously said. Like, pick up everything, and then we'll figure it out.
So great to hear, because I remember as a kid. Like, I know what's useless now. So, like, the chainsaw. Like, the chainsaw seems like it's got to be useful in the kitchen. It has no purpose in the game. So, like, I remember as a kid, you fill up your inventory with dumb shit, and there's only the 4 things, and you got to move through the arrow, and it's just like a pain in the ass to find things, So, like, as an experienced player, knowing what is useless and what's not is great, because it simplifies your life, and you don't have to scroll through as much dumb shit on your inventory. But, yeah, I remember as a kid, it's just picking up everything, and there's so much useless shit. So much. And like, I don't. Oh, actually, it says here, yeah. So, yeah, he says, "Feed me and you can pass." And yeah, you want to give him the wax fruit. Our literature of antiquity suggests the moldy cheese or the rotten turkey also works. The cheese is in the fridge, and the rotten turkey is on the dining room table. But yeah, I honestly have never used anything with the fruit in 30 years.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do I figured I wouldn't have even tried the rotten. The turkey, because I figured that was sitting on the table like a freaking just decoration. So I was like,
okay,
or to pretend like, hey, humans live here when like we got blue creatures, blue aliens and tentacles. Like clearly they're just like, this is just for show. So I was like, all right, what's the weird stuff?
Okay. Pretty fun. Well, you hand him the wax fruit. He says, wow, my favorite. That's what I wanted. Now I'm thirsty. And then the fruit drinks from the pantry, and I believe also the Pepsi from the fridge will satiate this puzzle point. You said you used the drinks, so I'm presuming.
Yeah, I gave the drinks, yeah.
Word.
I had the Pepsi too, though. Still carried it around.
And so how wild is it that Pepsi's in there, like that?
Right? Product placement, like specific, not right. Soda, not pop.
And Dr. Fred's got a Pepsi machine in his lab, too, like a vending machine. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, clearly that had to have been paid for.
Maybe?
I wonder.
You would think?
It had to be. It had to be. There's just no... It had to be.
Like, if this was the South and it was Coke, I could be like, all right, they just think everything is Coke. Or they... So maybe that got slipped through. But.
I feel like I've read Coke is more litigious, so that would have been probably a bigger problem. But I don't
Pepsi.
know. Like,
good job.
I wonder if that was in the other iterations and it was just a placement for NES, or
Interesting.
It would blow my mind if it was just they just put it in there and didn't care,
Maybe they did.
I mean, it's only a word.
But think about it. If you're Pepsi, if I'm a Pepsi executive, like,
you don't have any problem with it, sure. Yeah,
I have zero problems. Like, if that was like just your drink of choice and you just had it in there, I'm like, sure, a video game, sure. Why? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But on the flip side, though, companies making the game are usually uptight about that shit.
Absolutely,
it's just not a risk.
Yeah.
Even though, in all likelihood, there's nothing going to happen. You just don't take that risk when you're dealing with any sort of publishing or whatever. They're just 100%. So uptight about anything. So, it's not like Lucasfilm Games was like some small outfit. I mean, the game side of it maybe, but it was a big company already on the whole. Lucasfilm.
But maybe Lucasfilm, to your point, maybe at that time, Lucasfilm big enough, maybe they had already some partnerships.
Right.
Like some kind of whatever partnerships that allowed them, like, hey, I know we got a contact there. You guys get with this, or like, what kind of game is it? Sure. Great. Right. Fine.
Yeah, I would think that's have to be it, but
it
would have to be it, but I didn't take the time to look it up. So you give him that, whatever the drink is, and then he goes and stands with his nose in the corner by the houseplant, very dunce cap style. And then there are very short clips where we are shown Dr. Fred playing Meteor Mess in the arcade room, and these happen a number of times, or they can happen a number of times, I guess. He will be unsuccessful and remark about the power being out until you fix the wires in the attic, suggesting you take care of that. So did you get that far with Bernard?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Hey, actually, the funny thing is, you don't need Bernard for that. Any kid can do that with the tools, because it's whether you have Bernard or not, getting that machine on is a critical part to beating the game, because his high score that he leaves on the game is the code you need for the lab door keypad lock. After you unlock the two padlocks in the basement, the door, the inner door is a key code door, and you have to have his high score number to get in there. And it can even, so you can see that, have him play the game, go get the code, and then he will, if you don't finish the game and whatever the fuck the time limit is in the game, he'll go back and play again, and the code will change. And if you take the code that you got from the first time you played it down to that door, it won't work. So it can even that can kind of change / progress in the story world. So that's pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, that actually jogs my memory. I didn't write it down, but that was the only thing that when I was searching for any kind of cheat code that they were talking about, every code was the same. It was like every code was going to be 0000, so you didn't have to worry about that. But I guess I didn't play enough to where that would be a concern to have to keep inputting different codes, because even like the address on the TV that you get later is like 222, or like, that's easy to remember. Like, I don't need to.
You don't actually need to remember that. You just have to have seen it, and then you can type it onto the envelope with the typewriter. Yada yada yada. Yeah, you don't actually have to enter that. Thank God. But you do have to. The kid doing the typing has to have watched the TV and seen the address of the publisher before they just say I don't know what to put on here. So yeah, and when you do, it definitely happens when you play it. I'm pretty sure it also happens when Dr. Fred plays. But there is a really cool arcade mid-eye music mashup tune That it's like there's like a little bit of Space Invaders, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That plays in like a 10-second cue. It wraps up, and this is awesome. I think a very brief sample of the Super Mario Brothers. Dun, 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 dun. It does like just enough to not be copyright infringement, but you know what it is, kind of deal. Yeah. So pretty cool they did that. And I'd be very curious to know. I mean, it's got to be only the NES version that
for sure.
You know what I mean, for sure, you would think. Although, yeah, NES by '88 when it was hitting on PC, Mario was already huge. So who knows? Maybe not. You know.
Yeah, possible.
So yeah, so that's it for like shit that you're going to see for certain on any gameplay with any grouping of kids. So I thought to wind us down before we get into the individual playthroughs, we could do our top 3 favorite rooms and just kind of talk about why we like them. So Jay, what was your first one?
Top 3 favorite rooms. I mean, probably for me, like I don't know what the room's even called, like the chandelier room, like the one where you shake the chandelier and it gets exploded, shatters. I don't even know what that room, that living room, so whatever that is.
That's the living room, yeah.
Yeah. So I like that just because
you solved that puzzle?
Yeah, like it at that point, man, I was in it deep. That was like the only time I was actually making any kind of progress. Like I think I know what the outcome was, but like anyway, I solved that and I thought that was really cool because it changed everything and stuff was shattered. And after doing that, going into like the bathroom and other stuff, seeing other things shattered too, I'm like, I wonder if this was like shattered before I did that.
Right. So I'm pretty sure it's only in the room that you're in because you have to like. That's why it shows you. It
shatters the windows.
That's why it shows you the thing in the room breaking because you have to then take that sound and make it happen in the room where you want the thing to break or where the thing needs to break. You know what I mean? Because if it broke everything, you wouldn't have to take it to the room. You could just play it in the music room.
Oh, well, that's true. I guess that's
true.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's one of the ones that I knew. You can, despite how fucked up some of the pixel art is in this, I was immediately could see that key on the chandelier. So I knew that I needed to get that down. I knew I needed to break the chandelier to make that happen. But it took me a while to finally figure out how to remember how to do that. So that was one of the little things that I did bump my head up against when I was playing. But yeah, that is a very cool, fun puzzle for sure. My top choice is, like, just for its weirdness, I think, is the pantry. There's something about, like, I love the spilling the developer fluid puzzle. Something about that is just really Michael's whole track period. I just really like his character track and the whole idea of developing the film and all that shit. Like the way you had him. I don't even know. So you had Michael. Did you get that far? Did you?
Yeah, I did that. It was. I didn't understand it at first. I just multiple times would go in and like, this is developer's fluid. Like this has to be important, but like I can't reach it. And every time I reach it, it always falls here on this grate. But like in my mind, that was always important of a thing to happen for later.
So did you ever find the puddle?
I did find the puddle, but I still don't know. Like I had a sponge, so I was sopping up puddles every time I saw them at that point. But I don't know, like, the ultimate outcome of that activity.
Okay. Yeah. Fun. We'll get into it later. But yeah, I love that puzzle, and something about it just enthralled me as a kid, so I really like that. What's your 2?
Probably the swimming pool.
That's my 2 as well. Swimming pool is fucking cool, dude.
Again, this is just another time when I was just because I hate these type of games. Point like Under the Killing Moon, which is I played a couple years later, 92 maybe. Like that was like in games like that I would play.
Oh man,
and like
I don't know what that is, but I love that title.
Because I mean like more noir, like detective-y stuff where you're like, oh, I know I'm a detective, so I'm doing all this like puzzles and things like that, but like just with one character. And so I'm playing over my brother's house on the computer, and like even that I got into it, but I never completed it because I would like run into some puzzles. I'm like, I'm not sure what to freaking do next. And then Descent comes out.
What
or
a
Duke
time,
Nukem
right, Jay?
comes out.
What a
right?
time when you could actually not know something. It's
right?
insane.
And but then, like, Duke Nukem, something else comes out, and I'm like, oh, action packed. I'm jumping in, and like I just never finished it. And so like, this is considering that this game is just like not my kind of jam. I actually felt accomplished even getting here. Like, oh, there's a pool. I can't read because in a lot of other rooms, for me, I just wasn't sure what the hell I'm supposed to do. I'm like, there's stuff in here. Like, what do I need? What do I not need? I'm just picking up everything, turning stuff off. Like, I don't know how things work. But because I got out here and clearly there's something in the middle of the pool that I need. And I'm like, all right, I got to do something with this water. Like, can I drain? Like, there's a ladder. So I got to get rid of the water some kind of way, so it actually made me feel like, okay, I'm making some progress and I feel good about what's happening here, even though, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I think it's a cool puzzle too. The whole idea, whatever. It's also just hilarious to me that there's a nuclear reactor cooling mechanism in their pool. It's like, it's fucking insane. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
oh my gosh.
It's like, like half-acidly installed. You can see like the cracking and shit. It's not even like properly fucking whatever. It's a nuclear reactor cooling mechanism and it's fucking poorly installed. It's just hilarious, dude. And it's it's also fun. Obviously, this is a central cog in blowing the house up. As one of the few endings have been destroyed by a nuclear meltdown. It reads. I'm actually looking at it in my playthrough. Funny enough, right now is actually on the screen as I'm saying this. Yeah, the game ends. And yeah, there's not only it can happen two ways. You can empty the pool and leave it empty for too long, so it overheats. Or there's also the button down there. It just says do not push this button, and it blows the house up. Basically, when you push the button.
Yeah.
So just did you blow the house up? With
Both
the button?
I experienced. Are you kidding me? All I saw in this game was constant explosions of the house. Like that was a regular thing. So if there's a way that I would experience the game over screen, I experienced it. Yes.
That's fucking great. Okay.
No,
Fun.
It was not great, Josh. It was not great, sir.
Well, that was my two also, so I'll just jump to my third and we'll get back to your third. My third was the music room, and it's just because there's just a lot going on in here. You got the TV with the Three Guys commercial, which is fucking awesome.
That was mine too.
Yeah, and then you can put that broken record on, and that's super funny. There is the whole tentacles fucking record deal, shattering the glass stuff that we talked about. That's actually called... It's actually supposed to be tentacles mating is what that supposedly that recording is within the lore. So it's like the tentacle mating call that does that, funny. Which is obviously hysterical. There's no way you would know that or discern that, but if you read that wherever you read it, it's funny. And then there's of course did you get to making your own demo? Did you do that?
No, so I didn't bring anybody musical. So it's funny.
Shit, yeah.
So it's funny to me like that we both had that as like our third favorite room, but I didn't even have a musical person, but I still, turned on the TV. I'm playing the stuff, like turning things on. Like to your point, there was a lot to do, and actually kind of made me feel like, man, I kind of wish I had one of the musician people in here. Even though I got Michael, I got Michael, and he's dealing with the manuscript for me because he does stuff. So he's able to help out, but I would like to see.
He's not the manuscript. Wendy is the manuscript. He's the plans.
And I think in my mind, I like misremember that as well. Cause I was like, oh, he's the school newspaper person. So he's writing this thing too. Sense, yeah. So in my mind, like that was all the same,
Word. After these messages,
we'll be right back.
All began as an innocent little lab accident. And now, Uncle Harry is an uncommon housefly. And 4-year-old Turner is as big as Dad. But the Edison family makes the best of a bizarre situation in their happy home known as Maniac Mansion.
I want you to meet the Edisons. Ike, Idella, Turner, Tina, Casey, and Harry.
Over here! Down! To the right! How you doing?
Maniac Mansion accentuates the positive as the looniest, sweetest family comedy of the year.
No matter what, through thick and thin, and no matter how strange your family may appear, it's the family stays together. They stay close-knit.
Experience Maniac Mansion on Sunday and Friday nights, only on the Family Channel.
that is a promo for the aforementioned short-lived Family Channel TV series based on this IP, I should say. Yeah, I don't think you need to even see it, even if you're only listening to the audio, but it is fucking sounds and looks terrible.
Right? I'm like, what am I even watching right now? I was confused at first, like, what is this? Like, oh, this is supposed to be the game? Like, what are we talking about? What does this fly? Like, what?
Yeah, that dad is like, I'm trying to fucking figure out which fucking sitcom dad he is like. He might even really be a sitcom dad, like Alf. I want to say he's like the sitcom dad from Alf or something. Like,
even the music is like, it's so like what? This is not the vibe of the game I got.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest problem with it.
No,
it's completely loses the awesome vibe. You know, but that is also just quintessential network homogenization of things. Like when they get a hold of it, that's why everyone says things are terrible because.
But I feel like. I mean, well, yeah, I could definitely agree with that. But, like, even, like, I know everything was sitcom-y back then, and there were sitcoms all the time that, like, failed and tried and all that. But, man, like, the IP had a particular kind of vibe, and we're talking about, like,
totally lost,
like teenagers in the house, like, with aliens. Like, this is not that. A family? No. This is, yeah.
I mean, I could have lived with you. You can't really make a... I mean, I guess it would be kind of interesting to do the show. Let's just workshop a new fucking show right now, Jay. Like it's kind of interesting of like kind of the anthology idea of like every episode is a new set of kids trying to save someone. Dr. Fred's lobotomizing in the basement is kind of an interesting setup. You know, it probably would be a little tough to come up with a new one of those every episode, but. You know, you don't have to do that for me to sell me on that idea, but you do have to, like, yes, capture the vibe and, like, the quirky, you know, that whole dynamic of in the basement for 5 years. Like, none of that's there.
But they said like 3 seasons? Like, how did it last? Yeah, wow. Like, I mean, Family Channel, maybe they just made up some show and named it Maniac Mansion, and maybe it was just like, all right, good for that demographic they were looking at the time, even though it did not resemble the namesake.
Right, that's probably the best fucking... guess as to what the hell happened there. So, yes, let's go through. I figure we'll do, since I did too, we'll volleyball back and forth here on these. My first group was Sid and Jeffy, rounding out the Todd LLP. So, you know I'm trying to do some shit with Sid's music acumen, and that Jeff's best shot of contributing is fixing the telephone in the library. And, you know, this broader strokes of that are you're making a demo with Sid, befriending the Green Tentacle, then getting him a record contract is the idea there. I kind of knew that. And then I know I want to get Jeff some tools so we can do the fixing. And with Sid's track, the first thing is to get a hold of the blank cassette tape. And I'm kind of actually thrilled to hear that you were able to do that at all, because I think that's one of the more opaque things in the game, if you don't know that the fucking thing is behind that loose panel in the library next to the phone. I mean, it is right by the phone, so there's at least that. If you go to the phone, a lot of people probably just naturally see it pop up there. But
the line that it's on is like, it's on that same plane, so like if you're coming across, you're very likely to see that like loose panel. Duh. Let's go for that. Yeah,
let's open it up. Yeah, but otherwise, tough place to put something so integral for sure. So you have to take that to the music room. You pop it in the tape recorder. You also turn it on. You don't just pop the tape in and automatically start recording. You have to turn it on physically afterwards.
I did that. I went through the sequence thinking I was trying what I was trying, and then I realized, and I walked out, and I was like, wait a minute. Nothing actually happened. Like, did I follow all the steps? And I went back through again. And I was like, oh, I can hear him visually say it's now recording.
Right.
You know, and I was like, you know.
And even dumber, dude, when you take it, you broke the chandelier. You know this. When you take it down to do that, after you put it in, turn it on, break the chandelier, you then have to turn it off. And then get tape to take it out. You can't. It won't let you take the tape back out even until you turn it off first. It's just like, fuck off. Like, fuck off. Like, yes, of course I'm turning it off before I fucking take it, you dickheads.
Modern day video game, you click on it, you take the tape. Like, you actually just, like, take it, you're good. Now you gotta, like, nope, you gotta do every little step in
every
between.
dumb and like and like even obviously it's magnified by the fact of like the tedium involved with doing any step, let alone multiple useless steps. So yeah, just fucking 1990 and a half in that regard. So you then take that tape to GT's room upstairs above Dr. Fred's bedroom and play it for the tentacle in his stereo, which, the massive speakers there. And he's, you go up there and he's just sulking around, muttering about how depressed he is when you first walk in because he's.
I didn't do that one.
Can't get him. Yeah. So you take it up there and you have to make a demo that impresses him first, and to do that,
I can't do that.
Right. You need fucking Razor or Sid. So you take their recording. I'm playing the piano right there next to it, up to him, and when you play it for him, he gets super fired up, and then he leaves his demo on the bed, his demo tape. And from there, you have to head down the path of mailing something off, and that starts with getting Ed's package. On that, and I don't even know if you noticed, you got the package? Did you get the stamps off of it or no?
I did on accident, and I was annoyed because I thought I messed something up. I was like, I was trying to like open it, and he was just like that would be illegal. But like when I tried it the first time, I just accidentally pulled the stamp off, and I was like, I didn't mean it, and I thought I messed something up. I was like, I didn't mean to pull the stamps off. God damn it!
Yeah, no, you want them because they are uncanceled stamps, not which is I think it's very interesting that a package making it through the USPS process without getting stamped. In a situation where you just so happen to not be able to leave the house to go to the post office because it's a video game, you know what I mean? I think that's a great deal of convenience. But
I think that's what they call MacGuffins. Like,
yeah. Yep. So, yes, you have to, like, ideally, playing this game a million times, I just leave a kid stationed out by the fucking mailbox until this happens. I don't even take one of the kids in. I just leave them there, knowing that this is coming around the 10-minute mark of the game. So, you said you didn't even make it outside. You weren't quite there yet. So it's hairy for sure to get out there in time.
Yeah, like I just, it's funny because I had gotten comfortable to the point where I knew, okay, when Ed leaves, like I'm bolting to do stuff, and so I just had this inherent. When he said he was going to get the package, because I had been outside at the beginning, like touching stuff and trying to mess with the mailbox, and I was like, oh, I can open it, but there doesn't seem to be anything in there. Like, okay, I'm messing with bushes, I'm messing with everything, but I can't really do stuff. I'm like, maybe this is useful later. So when he says, oh, I hear the doorbell, I keep thinking like, is somebody coming in? What's going on? But then he says that, I just know I got to go outside and get that package first. I never am able to do anything with it, but I got it.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, mailing something off, dude. It bums me out that you didn't stumble through it all because it is such a hilarious. I think maybe the thing that I enjoy most about it is a fantastic encapsulation. Like the way, again, like the tedium plays into this video game. The way it plays into this particular flowchart is a fantastic encapsulation of just how primitive human existence still was in 1990. Communicating with letters and all this shit. Like the way you need the envelope out of the safe, which like this is so far down the track. Like you don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about here. But like, so there is a safe in the attic that's above Edna's room, right? So you need to get a kid up there, which of course requires either distracting Edna or having her, whatever, using that fucking thing that the guy put on Reddit that got published in May, like whatever. You gotta get past her and get upstairs, first of all. Have a kid up there. Then you have to have... So in that attic, there's a painting on the wall over the safe. So first you have to see the painting and decide to open the painting. And that's how you get it open too. It's not pull it or take it. You have to open it, and it's like on a hinge, which is I think a little fucked too and obtuse. But you open it, and behind that's the safe, right? And then it's a combination safe, so you need a combination. And to get the combination of this fucking safe, you have to in the den in the end of that third floor hallway, or I guess that's the fourth floor hallway. Mm-hmm. is that plant. The chomping, man-eating plant in the corner, right?
Yeah.
So you need to grow that because there's a hole in the ceiling above it. So you have to notice that hole and decide you want to get into that hole upstairs, right? And you have to make the plant grow to do that. To make the plant grow, you have to think to take radioactive water from the pool with the jar and pour the radioactive water on the plant. And that makes the plant grow real high and you can climb the plant up there. So super fucking obtuse, dude, and just not an easy thing to figure out for sure. Well, you have to use the jar of water in two different ways for this whole puzzle. So you have to use it to do that with the radioactive water. And then, once you get up into that room above the den, that's where the telescope is. And you basically have to take the dimes from the piggy bank in Ed's room, right? You have to put those into the telescope is like coin operated. It's like his own personal telescope, but you have to put coins in it to turn it. So you have to turn it twice to the right to get it to point at the window that sees into the attic above Edna's room. And below the safe on the wall is the code to the safe. But you can only see that if you've already opened up the fucking picture. So you have to have gotten someone into there, open the picture, then use the telescope, see the passcode, switch back to the kid in the fucking attic, open the fucking safe, right? And in the safe is an envelope. And in the envelope is just a quarter. You can't just rip open the fucking envelope, Jay.
Oh my gosh.
If you rip open the envelope, you hard lock your game. You fuck it if you need to mail something anyways. You have to take this envelope without opening it downstairs to the kitchen. You have to put it in the microwave with a jar of non-radioactive water. If you use a jar of radioactive water, the steam from the fucking jar kills you. So you have to pour that water out or have used it, not have a jar of radioactive water. You have to fill it with normal water from the sink. Put that in the fucking microwave. Run the microwave, and that steams open the envelope, so it's not used.
Was that a thing people were doing back then? Like I would never.
Not a thing I was able to do as a kid for sure, but people were doing it. Maybe with the hint book
Wait
most
a minute.
frequently.
Are you telling me that you figured that out on your own playing this game?
I just knew that. I just knew it from years of play. And honestly, like I think I knew it then too, but like it's such an obtuse thing. What? It was just too much for me as a kid, basically. And I hadn't played it enough as an adult.
No way.
To just work through that logically, But as a kid, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't put it together in my head. I mean, I think they tell you how to do this in the fucking Nintendo Power. I'm pretty sure. But I was never able to actually work through it, I don't believe, as a kid. So once it's steamed open, you can put whatever you have to mail, whether it be the manuscript for Wendy or one of the demo tapes for the musicians. You put that in the envelope. And then you put the uncanceled stamps on there, and then you have to take it up to the back. You got to go back to the den all the way, which is the last room in the house, basically. It's the furthest from the front door in the whole house. So you have to go all the way back upstairs to the den. After you've, like I said, you have to have watched the commercial on the TV. Yeah. Even if you, say one kid watches the TV, but another kid is the one you have trying to type the address, that doesn't work. You have to take the kid that's seen the thing on the TV to the den and type the address on the typewriter. There's no pens. You can't just write it by hand. You have to use the typewriter to put the fucking address on there. And then you take that all the way back down, again, like I said, from the furthest room to the mailbox, put it in the mailbox. And once you put it in the mailbox, Jay, you also have to put the little fucking flag up. So just I
can't.
Yeah, just a monumental exercise in baby step tedium. It is fucking so good, dude. So good.
No.
So I mentioned that you can dead end yourself ripping the envelope, right? So that going back through and doing these notes sent me on the side tangent of all the shit you can do to dead end your game in this video game. And those things are, you can get, one kid stuck in the dungeon with the key, like I mentioned when we were talking about the front door stuff. You can kill a kid with an important item or ability. So, I mean, we haven't talked about that at all. You can kill kids, period, which did you actually kill any kids that didn't end your game?
I don't think so. I mean, my game ending was always explosions.
Okay.
Like, the
So
whole
yes,
house gets destroyed.
there's a handful of things you can do besides killing everyone in a nuclear meltdown. You can enter the meteor's room you get a radiation suit in the lab that you have to put on before you go into the meteor's room, or his radiation will kill you. So you can do that, and if you do that, a kid just dies. Like, the game doesn't end. And when a kid dies, a tombstone appears out in the front yard by the driveway. So you can then keep playing the game with the remaining kids. Which, how wild is that? Yeah,
That is
I've
nuts,
never,
man.
I've never actually even done
experienced
that. Yeah,
That makes
that
me
can
think
happen.
more different about this game. Like, what?
yeah. Well, you can also, so if you blow up the hamster in the microwave, you can take the remains out. You can take those to Ed and give them to him. And if you do that, he fucking murks you. So that's fucking nuts and super fun, right?
Yeah.
And apparently the record in GT's room, like I mentioned, it's tentacle mating calls, right? So if you take that tape after you've made it, because he doesn't have a record player in his room, so you have to take it to the fucking music room, record that onto a tape, and then if you take that tape and play it in the tentacle's room, he rapes you to death.
What?
Insanity, right, bro? Fucking insanity.
What?
Fucking insanity.
That is terrible.
Yes. And then also on the GT Fury tip, if you send the publisher either Sid or Razor's demo tape, they get a record contract. And if you take that record contract and show that to the Green Tentacle, he kills you out of jealousy. So it's
That
fucking
makes
wild.
sense. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Super fun. And then the same for showing him, if you show him the Meteor's publishing contract, same thing. So if you get the Meteor published and show that, it pisses him off enough to kill him, even though it's not music. So that's pretty fucking, I don't know, the extreme end of jealousy.
That's
and then
fascinating.
you can drown a kid in the pool if you leave him in the swimming pool and then refill it with water. So you can drown a kid with that way.
Okay.
And then, yes, if I mentioned if you microwave the radioactive pool water, the fumes kill the kid and they die. So bunch of different possibilities. That gets you a tombstone out front and you can keep playing. And then, yes, so that's only one way to dead end yourself. Killing a kid that has something that you need or need to do with them in this track or this group of people. You can also kill the man-eating plant, which it didn't say how you would do it, and I'm not sure how you would, but you can kill him. And then if you can't get it to the telescope, you can't get into the safe. You can't get the quarter to play Meteor Mess. You don't have the envelope.
You're just stuck.
Yeah, you're just stuck. And then you can use the paint remover elsewhere, I guess, other than that paint splotch in the den. I presume you inherently thought to do that, right? Yeah. Sure. So I guess you can do that. And in that case, then you can't get up to the attic to fix the wires, and then in turn can't get Dr. Fred to play Meteor Mess, and you don't get the code. You can't get into his lab. And then you can also use all your dimes on, if you don't, because like I said, you're just turning that fucking telescope. So if you run out of dimes before you see the code, you don't have any way to see the code to get into the safe. To
Hope you saved beforehand.
Right, exactly. Save often. And that's kind of fucked too, because you can't even do multiple save states with the game. There's just the one save slot, you know what I mean? So you don't even have multiple save slots. So yeah, there's just a lot of fuck yourself opportunity here. And then there's a handful more that only apply to certain characters. So you can exhaust the patience of the Meteor Police. I don't know what that means. That's a Bernard story track thing. I've never beat it with Bernard. So his whole deal is that he fixes the radio upstairs and you call the Meteor Police. And I guess you can do something that, I don't know, don't get to the lab fast. I have no idea. But there's some way to have them not take care of the meteor for you and you're fucked, basically. And then you can fail to develop the film. That's a mic thing. You can do that wrong when you're in the room. I think it's maybe you do it without having the red light on, I think, because you go in there, you turn the red light on, and then you use the enlarger with the stuff in the developer tray. And I think maybe if you do that out of order, you can fuck up the photos, and then you can't befriend Ed, and you can't beat the game with him. You can do the envelope ripping shit like we talked about. You can not score the package at all, or you can give it to Ed without getting the stamps off of it first, in which case you don't have stamps to mail anything. So that's one way. Or you can also, I guess, mail the wrong thing. There's other shit you can mail that doesn't do the thing that mailing shit needs. Like, I know you can send him just a blank tape. You can send an uncorrected manuscript that hasn't been punched up by Wendy. There's a bunch of stuff you can do and mail that isn't the right thing that can end your game as well.
This game, man.
Yep. A lot of wild shit. A lot of wild fucking unfinished, unconnected to thing tendrils you can go down. So back to Sid's bullshit and getting the envelope open properly. You need to steam it in the microwave, like I said, and then grabbing it back out. You get the envelope and the quarter for the Meteor Mess game, and then you mail it off. And this is a huge crux is this publisher bullshit. And in the case of Sid, well, first I guess let's talk about the commercial. You go to the TV and it's like, I had it behind me a little bit earlier, but it's an old school ass TV. You can see like the channel, and it's got like the wooden console deal going on. It's a very old school Zenith type TV. Oh, yeah. And so you turn this thing on, comes up, there's a balding dude standing behind a desk covered in books, along with the TV ad theme plays as well. Behind him, it reads 3 guys who publish anything, scrolled up on the wall, and then more critically, down below, superimposed on the screen, is send to 222 Skyscraper Way. At the bottom, that's the address you need to mail shit to. And he says, "Hi, all you budding writers, musicians, and game designers. I'm Mark Eater, and I had played this game a million times, dude. I had never made that connection until I actually wrote that out. Mark Eater is marketer."
Nice.
Yes. So my company publishes anything. Just mail it to the address shown below. Don't forget the stamp. And yeah, that's both his name and then obviously, yeah, they're telling you to not forget the stamp. That's a very huge clue, of course. And like, I mean, again, I don't know if it's enough though, because I mean, you're not assuming.
Yeah, I didn't at the time.
Yeah, you would never know that they're uncanceled. There's nothing even vaguely suggestive. Like, it's not like something that used to happen all the time.
I will say, even though I accidentally picked up the stamp and I was like, oh, now I got the stamp in my inventory, I did, even though I didn't complete it all, I did know that, like, through the manuscript and because of this television, that, like, okay, I'm going to have to send something, or I could at some point send something. I don't know if it's, like, musical because of, like, the tentacle, because clearly he's, like, there's a demo thing happening. Like, I could get that. So yeah, I guess I could see it. I could see the breadcrumbs of it.
The mailing thing, yeah, but I'm talking about, like, because what you need to, I think, most importantly, get from this, like, yeah, once you get the stamps, you don't need this clue. You know what I mean? Once you get the stamps, you have stamps. That is your clue.
And you've seen
stamps.
It. And you've seen
right.
it.
I think that the shit of this is I would never think to check a package I received to see if the stamps could still work. That's just not something that happens in real life. Stamps are always canceled.
So how did you get the stamp off of it then? Like, what did you?
I knew
since
again,
I accidentally did it.
Yeah, I knew this as a kid. I knew that that's how you get the stamps. So like, I don't even know what.
That's so weird to me it's so weird to me. Like I can totally understand like the nostalgia. I'm like, playing a kid. But the fact that I stumbled onto it. And otherwise, like, how would I have freaking known? But I don't know if it was like a design flaw, you know?
I think that's the flip side of this point, maybe, is that you can, if you try to open that package, which a lot of people would probably do.
I definitely did, yeah.
Right? When you try to open it or read whatever, I think when you do any interacting with it at all, the stamps come off. So it is a very easily accessed thing, just any interaction with the fucking package at all. But again, this clue is telling you to look for stamps, and that's not where I would ever look for stamps. You know what I mean?
True.
On something that's already.
I'm like, let me look for the desk. Let me open the cabinet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the office, something. Yeah. That's tough, I think. So yes, you do all that shit I talked about to mail the damn thing off, and then a little bit of time will pass, maybe a few minutes, before we are treated to a cutscene of Mark Eater in his skyscraper office again. And he said, when he's opening in this case, he says, "A tape! Hey, where's the play button?" And if you've mailed GT's demo, that tune fires up, and it actually plays his song, which is cool. And the Mark says, "Wonderful, outrageous, awesome. This will be a mega hit. I'll sign them right now." And as I mentioned in the sideways potential stuff, you can mail him other shit. And if you mail him a blank tape, he says, "A blank tape? Is this a joke?" And then if you can record the broken record also and send that to him. And he says, "I like the beat, but the melody stinks," which is kind of fun. And then if you mail him the tentacle mating call, which is awesome that you can do that too, his office window shatters. Yeah, and he says, "Oh, great," to that. And then if you send him either Razor or Sed's piano thing, like I said, he will also be ecstatic about that and send them a record contract. So a bunch of different possibilities, possible outcomes there. And after you see that cutscene, a few more minutes pass back at the house, and the doorbell will ring, and the mailbox will be, or rather in the mailbox will be a contract, which you then show that to GT. And he is stoked and appreciative, but I don't believe he gives you any inclination that he'll do what you really get from this, which is that he'll defend you from any threats. And the main threat he needs to defend you from to beat this game, if you're using his befriendment track, is he chases off the purple tentacle who is standing guard in the mainframe room when you go through the lab door in the dungeon. So if you there's just no way to know that that's how it's gonna fucking happen. And that is, I think I wish he would have said something more about, because Weird Ed, when you befriend Weird Ed, he specifically tells you, "Oh, we can storm the dungeon, we can storm the lab together now, meet me down there in 10 minutes, and you know that he's going to help you." GT doesn't say anything like that. So I think that's a little tough that there's no kind of breadcrumbs that you have him as an ally now. But,
oh, man.
So it is. So now Jeff, and it will be not nearly as elaborate for Jeff or helpful. You get the tools out of the trunk of the Edsel in the garage, and I believe that requires, you need the Hunk-O-Matic first in Ted's room so you can get the garage door up, which is the same thing you need to do to rip the bushes out to get in the crawl space where the pool emptying crank is, so that whatever character is going to open the garage physically has to have pumped up with the exercise equipment. And then the yellow key you need for the trunk is in plain sight hanging in the tentacles room. You said you didn't go up there?
I got the yellow key.
Okay, I went in. This is one of the things I bumped my head into because I just did not notice it there, and I walked around forever in this game before I actually had to look it up where the fucking key was, and obviously incredibly frustrated because it's in plain sight.
Yeah, I'm like, how did you not?
Yeah, because it's just, there's this, his room's busy. I'm dealing with the fucking tentacle, not looking at his fucking wall. It's on the extreme right side of the room, way out of where your focus would be.
It's not bright enough for you to necessarily
and his room's full of bright.
Right to it.
Yeah, his room's full of bright, interesting shit. Anyways, plus he's running around. So
I didn't notice it at first either. I didn't notice it at first either because that interaction takes place.
Yeah, I mean, and I had to go in there a million times because I was doing the music track. So I went in there multiple times. So just no defense at all, just not looking hard enough. In a game, I know I have to look hard. So that was a little frustrating. But you do get that key, and then you open the trunk up. The tools are there. You take them out, and you lug those to the library. You tinker on the phone with them, and there's when you fix anything in the game, actually, the wires, the phone, whatever, probably the radio too. I haven't done that, but I imagine it works the same. You get a few loud banging sounds, and then Jeff says some dialogue to himself. That should do it. And then you can buzz Edna from the phone there, and you'll need her digits first to do that, of course. So there in the bathroom on the wall behind Ted's mummified body, and to get him to move out of the way, you need to turn the water on, but there's no handle on the shower. So you have to, there's a faucet spigot handle you find in the crawl space next to the crank for the pool. And you take that up, you put it on the shower, you can turn the water on, he jumps out of the way, actually jumps, and then you can read, when you turn the water back off, you can see the fucking paint on the wall that reads what that is, phone number. So you ring her, she says, "Cousin Ted, is that you? I've been waiting for your call. I haven't heard from you since your operation. Let me tell you what's been happening. It was 20 years ago today." And then it cuts back to Jeffy on the horn in the library, and you can switch to another kid then and run behind her back to grab the silver key off her nightstand and or run upstairs to the attic above her room. But again, it's like I said, you don't need to do that. You can accomplish that same shit by getting captured. So what that means is Jeff is totally fucking useless. He does nothing that you need. And it's obviously way less bullshit to just get captured and run in behind her while she's down in the dungeon, So it's just realizing that was a real gut punch, because it is not a small flowchart. Like I said, it's not as bad as Sid, but it's not a small flowchart to do this,
See that.
So those are the things they do. The end game for these two goes like this. When you first enter the lab, you must use Sid. Also, this was interesting too, because I would learn later, this is not applicable to all the, to the weird Ed befriendment thing.
Uh-huh.
You can take any kid in there, but when you, at least with Sid, I guess I can't speak to Razor, I didn't play with her, but when you go into the lab, if you don't have Sid going in there, the tentacle does not come to intervene and chase the purple tentacle off. So if you even though Sid has befriended Green Tentacle, if you take Dave or whoever else in there,
right, you got to be that person,
right? The purple tentacle still captures you and takes you back to the dungeon, which is it's not the biggest deal, but
sense.
It does make sense, but it's also not. You don't know that that's what's going to happen. So it's a little bit of a shit, I think, But when he does, if you take Sid in there, the Green Tentacle comes in, he says, "Oops, what are you doing to my friend? I've warned you. Don't mess around with my band members. Now get out of here." And then he chases them around a little bit, and then they scurry out the door to the dungeon together, and the GT turns back before he leaves, and he says, "That'll take care of him," and then runs out. And then you can head into the room where Sandy is being held captive. That's next door. In there, Dr. Fred is trolling around in front of the Pepsi vending machine. And he has this big brain-sucking machine thing going on. And Sandy is hooked up to that. And he talks a bunch of shit, but he will not actually capture you. He says, "Purple tentacle! Invaders! Purple tentacle!" So, and then when he realizes that the tentacle's not coming, he says, "So, you've gotten past all my safeguards. There's only one thing left to do. I'm arming the self-destruct mechanism." And then this really grating sound cue starts, and you were informed up in the HUD that there are 2 minutes remaining before shit goes boom. Oh, man. And then there's a locker here you have to grab the biohazard suit out from, put that on. And this is the one time in the game where they don't dick you around. You do not have to physically click to put it on out of your inventory. You take it from the locker, and it automatically gets donned by the character, which is just, after all the bullshit in this game was just like, oh my God.
Throw your bone here.
Yeah. So there is a door on the far right of there. You need the card key and put that into the slot from behind the hamster. And if you come in here, you can't get back out. Once you come in here, you can't. There's no switching to other kids, nothing. So if you don't have the card key with you, you will have the timer run out on you. So that's another way to die, I guess. That wasn't in the list. But so you put the card key in the slot. The door opens. In this next room is the meteor. It's hooked up to some machine. There are visible charges of electricity that are passing on some wires from the meteor to this unit that has a switch on it, cueing you to pull the switch or use the switch or whatever it is, and that turns the machine off. And when you hit that switch, we cut back out to Dr. Fred and Sandy in the other room, and he's had an epiphany. He's the mind control that was over him is gone now. He says, "Oh, what happened? I feel much better now. I'm free of this machine's control. But wait. The self-destruct sequence is initiated. I'll try to turn it off." And then he runs over to Sandy, kind of yells in her face, and he goes, "I can't disable it! The meteor must have control of the entire system." And then he turns back to yell at you in the meteor room, the other kid. And he says, "Hey kid, you've got to help me. We have to get rid of that meteor once and for all." And then he goes back to just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. So, you're basically left to figure it out. And we are then the character in the room, and it is time to get down to business. And in this case, I don't have anything to befriend the meteor, nor do I have any outside help coming from the meteor police. So I have to get rid of it the old-fashioned way, and that is something I also knew from a kid. It says in the fucking Nintendo Power that you gotta rocket it off the planet with the Edsel. I know the Edsel can fly somehow or another, the car, which who the fuck would it? Yeah, who would know that? I don't even know if there's a cue. Maybe there is actually on that poster. I can't remember, but whatever the case, I knew I had to send it off in the fucking Edsel. And yeah, actually, sorry, I actually have it here. It's not much to look at, but this cosmic car gets around. It'll take you into orbit in 2.2 seconds, or better yet, it'll take the meteor there if you put it in the trunk. So Nintendo Power tells you that. And again, maybe that's on the poster. I don't know, but I knew I had to do that, but I did not know the exact series of actions necessary to carry that out. And I would absolutely run out of time and blow the house up the first time that I fucking tackled the lab. They cut to the same vantage, just like all the other blow-ups, and show you that image that's behind you right there. And actually says, the message when that happens, it says, the house and everything in a 5-mile radius have been destroyed in a massive nuclear meltdown. The game is over. You lose. Heh, heh, heh. So, let us try that again. Get Meteor. You exit to the garage. You come out from under the concrete slab in the garage next to the car, which you probably won't even recognize or notice, rather, if you like going in it from through the garage door. Like, I didn't even know that slab was there. I never noticed it. But you come out from that. And you can't open that, so there's no point in noticing it either. But you come up from that, you put the Meteor in the trunk, you start the car with the appropriate key. I think it's the silver key, maybe from Edna's room, I want to say. And then your victory cinematic fires right up. So the fact that I couldn't figure that out the first time is pretty pathetic, but I couldn't. I probably just couldn't figure out which key it was, would be my best guess. But whatever the case, it cuts to a shot of the roof of the house. The starry night sky twinkling above it. The Edsel goes rocketing straight up into the sky from behind it. Then you cut to a shot of space. Earth is visible real big in the background. In the foreground is the Edsel with the Meteor driving now. He's somehow gotten out of the trunk, apparently. He's driving the car. And the text above that reads, "Whee!" So he's having a blast up there. And then we're out on the front porch of the house. Dave, Sandy, and Dr. Fred. And Dr. Fred says, "I'm sorry my insane plan caused you so much trouble. How can I ever repay you for your help?" And then fucking Todd here replies, "Cash would be nice." And then Dr. Fred puts him on blast for that. He says, "Don't be a tuna head." And then all turn to our POV before we cut to black. And then the end credits fire up along with their tune. Back to a wide shot of the house. It says, "Congratulations, you won the game" up top. And then credits roll up there before we land on a press B to play again as the theme winds down. And it loops a few seconds later if you don't. So that's only one way through it. How did you, I guess, not quite get there?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you even talking about, man? anywhere near here. It's funny, though, watching the playthrough that I was watching, Dave dies. So at the end, the guy is like, "Oh, I'm sorry my ad plan cost you your boyfriend's life. Is there some way I can repay you?" Then he says, "Maybe I can build a machine to bring your boyfriend back to life." And they're just like, great.
Yep. Another alternative ending. Yep.
But I didn't get anywhere near there, man. There's so many puzzles, man. It's just so much. Like, I have to think too hard at work, I think, to like want to sit and like have to just do puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. And it's almost like 30 different escape rooms in one. Like, that you have to, like, one giant long escape room that you're doing by yourself that you have to figure out. And it's just,
I could vibe with that analogy.
And there's just too many times where I didn't think to open something that's an open kind of thing. And so, like, once I find it, and I know we had strategy guides that we run across in Nintendo Power Tips, but to me that defeats the whole freaking purpose, because then I'm just following a walkthrough. If I'm going to follow a walkthrough, then I'm not really playing the game. And so it's like, I didn't want to do that, and I wanted to just play the freaking game. And like, oh my gosh, man, just banging my head against the wall. Like, even the point where I had to just be done. Like, I got to the car, I was able to open the trunk, and like, oh, there's a weird Edsel here. I'm gonna have to do something with this. Like, I could open it up, like all that. Finally, like I felt like I was making progress, but I didn't know how much farther. Like, I knew there was so much more to go with the game. That, like, even when I finally got tools for Bernard, and this is after multiple times dying, multiple times game over ending things. Like, I thought I should have like the elation of, oh, I finally got tools. There's so much things I could fix. But instead I was just like I have no sense of accomplishment or excitement at this point. Like, it took me so long to even find these. Like, I can only imagine how much more there is to do. And I would die so many times because of the like time-based aspects of decisions I would make. Like, oh, I'm turning on, like I'm leaving the pool unfilled, like you said. Like, mess around just doing other things. Oh, meteor, boom, house destroyed.
Dude, I played this game a million times. I blew the house up once, and I hadn't saved on my OG game. I mean, I hadn't saved in a while, because when he turns the power off, is it when he turns the power off, or maybe? No, it was when I turned the power off manually. Sorry. although I think this might apply to that too. But when you do that, you have the kid at the breaker box, right? So you have the kid at the breaker box that turns the power off, so you can get it, so you can go down to the pool. Or wait,
if you had a kid there, you know,
right? So yeah, you turn the breaker box off, and then he sends the purple tentacle out to like check what's going on, and then that kid gets captured if they're standing there at the breaker box when purple tentacle gets there. Yep. So I had that happen, and the kid got thrown in the dungeon, and it did not occur to me that I forget. It doesn't make. I'm saying it out loud. It doesn't make any sense. There's something I got to be forgetting. But basically, I didn't think like I assumed that the purple tentacle was going to turn it back on himself because he was there.
No, man, it exploded for me. Like the house.
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. So that to me, that I had even playing the game a million times. I got fucked and had to do a bunch of shit over because.
But that would happen to me constantly, like over and over. Like turning a nuclear reactor off, same thing. Turning the power off, same thing. Like I had to start over so many times, and I was just like, this, like, okay, like this feels like there's a choose your own adventure, but like there's so many dead ends, like so many dead ends that like I have to kind of, and like maybe to your point, once you get used to it, like and know that, and you kind of keep going through it, and like because you enjoy this type of thing, that's one thing. But man, it was just so deflating every single time. Like this is not fun anymore. I'm just searching and trying to figure out like what happened, what I could possibly need to do. The
saving is too. It's not. It needs like an auto save. You know what I mean? Like because if you're gonna have those just abrupt deaths, you need to be able to wind back the clock without having to do a bunch of dumb shit that you already have done. And like that's the tough part about it. That's just where games are at.
It would make me start save scumming every time I walk into a new room or something, just in case like a new decision I made was going to like result in the game over.
But I don't think because it's not skill based. So honestly, I don't think that. Like I get now we're talking about whether like for a modern player it can be enjoyed. Like I don't think. Like, if you're save scumming with these old games and it's like, Batman and you're save scumming.
But I wasn't, though. I wasn't.
But I'm just saying, though, if you do, I don't think it really detracts from your experience to use that convenience because you're not fucking... I'm looking at them explode the hamster on the fucking playthrough right now. It looks crazy in the goddamn... it's like splattered on the fucking door of the microwave. You can like see through the glass and see it splattered on the glass. That's crazy. But yeah, it doesn't take away from the experience because it's not a skill based thing that you're like circumventing. It's just like not having to do something you've already done and figured out. You know what I mean? So I actually think that is fine to do to help alleviate some of the, the friction of this game. I think that would have been fine. I understand you're trying to play it, but I'm just saying like if you had to do that to make it work for you.
No, I was definitely like, when I learned something, I was like, oh, I can't. Like, kind of like with the, I wouldn't do this with Sandy. I just started over because I didn't want to get, like, Dave captured at first. But initially, I would just save before, like, going into the kitchen kind of a thing. Because, like, I don't know if Edna's going to be
She's going to be back, again. Right, yeah. For sure. Okay, so you got the tools. That's as far as you got on Bernard's track. What you're saying?
Yeah, and I got upstairs. I got up to the multiple levels. I was able to like obviously use the Hunkomatic thing to get stronger because I was like there's grates and stuff. Like I got to be able to move them. So when I was like for strength, like Hunkomatic, I was like, oh, I connected dots there.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad. I was gonna say that's a fun puzzle. So I'm glad to hear that was logical. How far did you get on Michael's track? You said you never gave him the package.
Yeah, no, I never really did anything with Michael. Like he was there. I had him doing stuff. Like I think he was the one that gave the stuff to the tentacle. And so I definitely had him like going up and moving around. But I was pretty much moving them all in. Like I was using Bernard the most because I was like, all right, he's fixing stuff. So let me try to have him like doing stuff. And then like, how do I even talk about it? Like I was trying to keep them all alive and trying to keep them all engaged because I didn't know, kind of like you're an RPG party. Like I don't want any of them to die. Like I know that clearly you can beat the game with only 2 of them and you could say somebody's useless, but I was thinking like I got to keep them all alive and involved. And so like I got to keep him involved because he has a key, or I got the original key with him and he's the boyfriend. And Michael, I'm thinking he was like the school journalist. So like he's going to be dealing with his manuscript and some film stuff, but I had him doing things like meeting a tentacle and like grabbing stuff along the way. But like, I don't think I really did anything with his like specific track. Unfortunately, I was burnt out at that time. And I think I've ran into every dead end in the game possible for like the first 2 floors in every room you could possibly do, like a way that you could fail. I failed. Like I don't even know. It's out of control.
Oh my god, dude! I'm watching him give the hamster to WIERD Ed, all blown up, and he's like, "No, I don't want that." Oh wait, what is that? He's like, "Are there the little bits of fur like my hamster?" And he's like, "Oh my god, what did you do that for?" And then it just cuts to the tombstone outside. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I'll talk through Michael's when I do my second playthrough because I used him for my second party. Bernard, I've never beat with him, but I know I'm pretty sure that you have. So your goal is to enlist the Meteor Police, which you do by fixing that radio. And to do that, you need to get the radio tube out of that old radio in the living room. So you need the tools to do that. That's the thing. You can't do that without tools. And none of the other kids, like if you try to do, I've tried to actually get it with one of the other kids, and it says like, you don't know how to fucking deal with this technology or something. Yeah. So you have to have Bernard and have the tools, take the radio tube out, and then you can install it in the radio upstairs in Dr. Fred's room, fix the radio there, and you use that to call the Meteor Police. And then when you get into the room, I think they come into like and come get them there or something. And I know there's another crazy ass alternative ending that is with Wendy, where you can have the Meteor Police come to the talk show. So like when she wins, the Meteor goes on a book tour, goes on a talk show, and then if you've like, I don't know what it is, I don't know how it would play out exactly, but you can get the Meteor Police to come to the talk show and arrest him there on stage, which is fucking awesome. That's possible, So yeah, that's what you missed out. Yeah, like I said, we'll talk about Michael when I go through. So yes, my second run was with Michael and Wendy. Michael's angle is befriending WIERD Ed by helping him put his commando plans together. So he takes care of the purple tentacle upon entering the lab. So that's his function. And yes, Wendy is the one that befriends the Meteor by polishing up his shitty manuscript and getting it published. So for Michael, you need to score the sponge from the bathroom sink, where you will then use that to sop up the developer fluid that pools on the ground in the crawl space after you break and spill the bottle in the pantry above. The film itself only appears out front on the front lawn, which is crazy. Yeah, after you have to befriend Ed by giving him his package, and then he tells you, "I'm looking for my commando plans, keep your eyes peeled," or some shit like that. And yeah, this is another instance where I just wandered around. I could not remember where the fuck they were, and however far down the road, I went outside for something, and they're just like sitting there at the bottom of the steps, which is kind of crazy. That's where he lost them, I think, but whatever. So you get those, and then you can go to the dark room of the 3rd floor landing. That its only purpose, that room, and the only thing you can do is develop the film there with Mike. So that's probably like the most, I don't know.
That's obscure.
Yeah, mono-focused room. There's nothing to get in there. There's no use for it whatsoever unless you're doing this track, Michael's track. But I've never done it, but I guess you can, dead end yourself. Like I said, I think it's the red light first, but you got to go in, turn the red light, then you put the sponge in the tray, and then you put the film in the tray, and then you use the enlarger next to it, and he does this whole deal where he walks over and closes the door so no light gets in, and then it makes this weird noise while he's fucking with the machine, and then you have these prints, these pictures that whatever he's taken, spying on Dr. Fred. You take those and give those to Ed. He says, "Great, you developed my prints. Now we can overthrow the meteor. Meet me in the lab in 10 minutes. We'll storm it together." And I think that amount of time matters. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that it actually has to be 10 minutes before he'll come help you. So you got to kind of wait, and you can because you can go into that room and just stand there by the door without aggroing the purple tentacle. So I think time matters there.
Just throw on your timer and go hang.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the one with this though. You can use any player, and WIERD Ed will come. So again, it's just not. There's just not.
Interesting.
continuity there. You know what I mean? So that's the whole deal with him, is just to befriend Ed, so he will help you in the end sequence. And then with Wendy, she needs the manuscript out of the desk drawer in Dr. Fred's office on the second floor. You gotta polish it up. You just pop it in the typewriter. She does that at any time. And then you need to do that same publisher mailing track that I talked about with the demo tape. And Mark Etier has unique dialect for that relative to the publishing copy. He says, manuscript, let's see. Wow, this is hot stuff. It will sell millions, maybe even billions. I'm going to make Mr. Meteor $1 million offer. And he's literally, while he's saying this, he's running back and forth in his office, like fucking just ecstatic that he's gotten this thing in his fucking mailbox. And they thought of every possible course of action for this damn game, too. So I guess if you send off the manuscript without you can actually send it off, not only if she doesn't do the polish, I guess, but if you have another person use it in the typewriter for the punch-up, other than Wendy. Mark says, "What is this garbage? I wouldn't even use it to start a fire," so they can do a bad job, So you'll need to take her into the Meteor's lair, where you'll hand over the contract that comes back in the mailbox directly to the Meteor, and the Meteor says, "Wow, a lucrative publishing contract." And when you go in the room, there's this puddle of purple goo beneath it on the floor, but he's not actively dripping into that. When you give him the contract, he starts gushing purple stuff onto the ground below him. So he's physically, whatever, exuding happiness. He says, "I'm going to be famous. I don't have to be evil anymore. Dr. Fred, release the prisoners. We're going to be rich." And then it cuts to the obligatory set of a late night talk show. This is scored with the unique theme. We'll hear that in a moment. The host stands behind his desk, addressing the Meteor in one of the chairs. The Meteor has a mic hanging from the ceiling above him. He says, "Welcome back from our break. We've been talking with the celebrity rock who gave up a life of crime for a career as a writer. So, Mr. Meteor, how does it feel to be famous instead of infamous?" The Meteor begins dripping this purple goo on the floor before replying. He says, "Well, wink, it feels great." Our view pans over across the stage to show Wendy standing off stage watching him. And then the Meteor says, "But I couldn't have done it alone."
Theme, bringing us into the verdict. Josh, I wonder what you think about this game.
I think we know what I'm going to say. I want to hear whether this extensive talking through has shown you the light,
dude,
to where even though you might not have enjoyed yourself because of the type of game it is, that you can appreciate all that it does and all that it did for the first time.
I can understand for those who like a point-and-click adventure at this time that it was released. If you were familiar with point-and-click games, you played computer games, things like that, and you liked puzzles, I could see how you could like this game. Asking me to like this game is like asking me to give you my thoughts on eggplant parmesan. I told you I didn't like them before you asked me to try it, and just because a lot of people said it was good, didn't make me like it more. In this case,
eggplant's tough. It's got to be cooked right. If that skin is still tough, no. It's eggplant's.
It's never good. It's never good. In this case, the overwhelming product placement and general marketing made this stick in my memory. So even when I was playing it, just because it was in the last game magazine app, I was a bit intrigued. All right, what is this really game? But getting into it, playing it more than just the first 10 minutes to dip my toe, it is just not my bag, man. Like I said, even where I should have been excited to finally go fix stuff and do stuff, I just felt oh my gosh, this just it's just not enjoyable to do. Like I said, getting having to open up something that doesn't in my mind. It shouldn't open up, and having that be something to I walk past that thing 40,000 times. What are you even talking about? So I get it though. I get it. I understand even playing through how people can get it. It's not for me. So in the same way that I would talk about any other game that is released, like if it's not in my genre, but I could see it's a quality game or that other people would like it, it's fair. Like it gets my vote.
Okay.
But it's not my bag, baby. Yeah.
Fair. I respect your ability to disassociate your feelings from your own personal experience to the academic viewpoint. That's very, very
I saw the through line. I could see it. I could see how the puzzles were coming together. It's like, but I don't want to do that. Like
it's very mature of you, Jay. Very mature of you. So yeah, I mean, for me, Jesus Christ, yes. Like trumpets blaring, court jesters putting on their best show, fair maidens dressed to the nines everywhere. King Lork pulls out all the stops to bless this absolute fucking classic in my book, man. Like, I just don't think there's any game that sent my imagination and curiosity higher in my childhood NES era. Like, there's it was just so unlike. It was like, I don't know, like earth-shattering how unlike everything I'd had access to up to that point on a video game console. Period. Because again, I guess I had those like old school Sierra experiences prior to what I'm talking about, but they were brief and very fleeting, and even that is just also just a completely different deal. Like, I had my cousin there. This was me alone in a room with this game, like trying to get it, and work through it, and just it felt like my memory of that experience is just so big, so in that regard, it's just, like I said, it just pushed the envelope so much further than any game had for me to date. So that's hard to shake in my judgment here.
And I can't even think about it like that. It's because this is such a point and click. I keep referencing my computer game playing days,
right,
which would be me at my brother's house in front of the computer playing a game like this. But in reality, when I had my Nintendo, I'm not doing that. My little brother is with me or somebody's with me, and like, no chance are we playing this game. Like, it's just, we turn it on, it's like, wait, what? Sure. I want to play a game too. What are we doing? Like,
that's so, being able, you can, like, I mean, I don't know, Jab and I guess, like, we do have memories of fucking with Shadowgate a little bit in tandem, I think, but that was more just me monopolizing and him watching it because he's little brother. Like, we weren't really engaging those in like some collective way. Right. So, I mean, my memory of this that's so fond is, yes, me alone in a room. I didn't have anyone else to placate or deal with. It was just me in this world, So, if you were in a group setting of some kind, I totally see how these games could get really tough to even just like, functionally enact into your library, because you got another kid that's like going to have a serious problem. So I hear all that. Yeah. But even beyond just that nostalgia shit, like, I had thought maybe I had finished it at some point or another, but getting there and actually doing it myself, like I said, it solidified for me that I hadn't. So, I enjoyed that so much that I did it a second time just for the playthrough, which I think is a little bit of a testament in and of itself. But I also have an inclination to, at some point or another, on OG hardware no less, just because I'm just going to be doing it as like a fucking, just sit around and jam for an hour or so down fucking memory lane, is I'm going to go through and do it with Bernard too, to see that Meteor Police track that I haven't ever seen before. So like, that's how much I enjoyed it, is that I want to play it yet a third time and see everything. Actually see it. Yes, I can Google a video. Yes, I can whatever, but like, I actually want to do that myself and carry it out. That's how much I appreciate this game. And I think maybe that says at least as much as I've already said, if not more, about how much this motherfucker gets the blessing. So, surprised that got a double. I thought we were talking about a split blessing on this episode, so that warms my dead cold heart that we were able to tackle this and talk about it. Like I said, I'm also pleased with how it worked for an episode more than I thought it was too. I'm always apprehensive about like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but like just a few fun things, talk about the rooms, like this kind of game I think can be done too. So if we ever get to a Shadowgate or a Deja Vu, I think we have the flowchart for doing one as an episode now, even though I think it'll be hard to talk you into that. Next up is GamePro 19, which will be our final episode before we get into our 100 episode bonanza on a Bobo's Big Adventure.
Woo!
And you can subscribe to the pod on the platform provider, whatever dumbass company that serves up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on that podcast platform of choice, or any other for that matter. The website is nyehentertainment.com/ISOHpod. You can email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the pod on Facebook and or Instagram. And the link to the YouTube gameplay videos playlist is in the show notes. There's the ISOH subreddit if you want to get down with us on Reddit. We don't have a Patreon, but if you'd like giving money to things podcasters tell you to, you might do so in our direction. The Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities. And that's cool as fuck. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. T-shirts are on the website. They're dope, and proceeds on those after pod expenses go to Able Gamers. We're both rocking one right now. Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. That is my gamer tag, and where I post on the off chance that I do. Let's come and game together, at least until July. July comes, we're all going to be playing NCAA, so come and get down on that as well.
We'll see.
Come at me,
see.
bro.
Once you start playing basketball in VR and blacktop hoops, you may never be able to play basketball on a flat screen ever again, Jay. My Twitter is @JoshFolan. My Instagram is MyShipKeysBroke. And that is also the handle that you can find me if you want to get fucking taken to the rack in Venice Beach. That's where we're going to be playing. There's a Venice Beach course, dude. It looks exactly like the Venice Beach course. I was just at it scouting it for a film shoot the other day. I was just there. They fucking mapped it out perfectly. It's fucking great. Such a good game. Okay, bye.
Bye.